we're live. G'day, Bill. What's going on, mate? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Pinky's out. That's really good.
Great to have you in studio. Is it smaller than you thought? People often come in and say,
No. I mean,
no.
ceilings are higher than I thought.
Yeah.
Walls are closer than I thought. It's good.
Air temperature is warmer than I'd hoped.
Slightly. Well, we can run it all over the place. I love it. I love the blue. I love the wood stain. Anything with a stain, natural stain.
Just a big
great.
stain fella.
Yeah. I still don't know who this character is.
I have a few more guesses.
Eusebius of Ponticus.
That's it.
Did I just nail
Nailed it. No, it's definitely not. Whoever you just said that is.
A saint.
No.
A man.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Why is it so? Why did you have to make it so hard?
It's not.
Is this a new fixture?
No.
I have seen your show, Matt. I have watched before.
Would it help if you were like looking at him dead on?
Oh, now Isaac Asimov, the sci-fi writer.
No.
What? Catholic?
No.
Not Catholic.
Not Catholic. See, this is great. Once you've almost got 300,000 YouTube subscribers, you stop giving a crap about the experience of the viewer.
Give me a country.
Russia.
Russia. Dostoevsky.
Yay!
Son of a
Nutcracker.
Gee, I'm really embarrassed.
Don't be.
I'm more embarrassed to say I've never read Brothers Karamazov.
What have you read?
In its entirety. Lots of other books.
I just looked up how, sorry to interrupt, but how Isaac Asimov looks, and he has these giant sideburns, just for everyone's edification.
I kind of want to see it now. You should put it on screen just to show people.
Yeah. Dostoevsky, wow. Yeah,
You don't have to show us, but you should show them.
So
Sideburns.
I didn't read Brothers. I started the audiobook. I'm sorry.
I can't do audiobooks.
No, wow.
I like the idea of audiobooks. It seems very efficient. I can get stuff done while I do other things.
No, I can't.
But my brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well, you can't do other stuff while you have to be all in.
I have to be.
Yeah.
It seems like other people can exercise or they can go on drives.
Yeah, I do it. I have a 2.5 hour commute. Well, 1 and 15 back and forth each day.
The
audiobooks are good.
BBC has done a dramatized version of several of Dostoevsky's books.
Okay, that could work.
So different voices, background noise. It's a condensed version of the book, but it's something if people want to check that out.
I will.
Who's your favorite author?
Well,
Do you feel like we're yelling because of that fan outside?
No, I don't.
No.
How about you, the viewers at home?
Do you feel like you're yelling?
Are you annoyed?
We're like, yes, but only because you've been talking about this freaking statue for the last 10 minutes.
Well, clearly not Dostoevsky.
No? Yeah.
But I'm always reading Tolkien, Lewis, Kreeft,
Nice.
or Sheen, sort of in a...
Yeah.
Also, I love Thomas Dubay. These are the books that I read constantly. So Evidential Power of Beauty by Dubay, I'm always kind of like dipping in. Obviously Lord of the Rings, I'm always flowing through. Anything by C.S. Lewis, constantly flowing through. Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld said that you know what your dad's best years were because that's when his wardrobe ceased and he just kept wearing that thing forever. Do you think books are like that,
Yes,
maybe? Where
exactly.
it's like you read some books, you're like, I'm just going to do this forever. I know there's a lot of books. I'm sure Dickens is great. Don't care.
Right. Yep. Because you found you slipstreamed into it's like the golden vein. And I know that this is somehow inspired and I can just it's like the Gospels, although a notch down. But I can keep getting refreshed, keep getting rejuvenated. Doesn't get old.
Yeah. Well, I told you I just started reading the Space Trilogy. Did you read that yet, Neil?
I haven't read that, no.
I'm telling you, it's a hidden gem.
All right.
It is a hidden gem. You mentioned that, and people, C.S. Lewis, oh yeah, Screw Tape Letters, Narnia, Mere Christianity, Space Trilogy. No.
Explain it to us without giving anything away.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It's a fantasy sci-fi kind of a trilogy. So it's fun and brilliant and adventurous in itself. Mm-hmm. But Lewis is always like he's doing a little subterfuge there.
Subterfuge.
So he's attacking the scientific reductionism of our age, the demythologization. Like, there's nothing out there. There's no transcendence. He's like, we're in a great dance. We are in the womb of worlds. Everything means something. And so he's got this amazing interplay between the masculine and the feminine, the great dance of that. the fact that everything is full of the divine. So as you're diving in, you're realizing he's doing therapy for you, because you and I have been sort of hypnotized by this scientific reductionism for a century.
It's funny you say that. I've only read like the first 3 chapters, but I think within the first chapter it talks about ransom coming upon Devine and Weston.
Yes.
And he feels like they might be doing something criminal, but believed, like all men believe in our age, that he could never stumble upon such a thing. I wonder if
yes. And the names all mean something, obviously.
Is that right? Is it Devine or Divine? I think it's Devine.
It's like a little play. It's not because he's not divine. And Weston is sort of iconic of Western scientific reductionism. Ransom, he's going to be the hero character who will, by his actions, end up becoming a savior kind of figure. And fun fact, he's based on Tolkien, C.S. Lewis's good friend.
No way.
He's a philologist.
Yes, that's right.
A lover of language. Tolkien's a lover of language. So Ransom, just think this is Tolkien.
Okay.
Yeah. So epic adventure. First book is essentially the travel to Mars, which is named something else, Malacandra. There's a heavy masculine theme going on there. Like, what is masculinity? So as you're reading the first book, think about that. Paralandra is Venus. It's the second book, and it's the feminine mystery. And it's an incredible book. Ransom's character. So
you're not giving it away.
I'm
right?
not giving much away here, but he's essentially kidnapped by Weston and Divine, brought to this world. But there's a mission, because Paralandra is a new beginning, a new man and woman who make a new choice. And then I'll just stop right there.
All right.
And you can imagine where it goes. The final book is this epic battle between good and evil.
Cool.
And all things coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying to you yesterday, like, it's obviously not Tolkien. Nothing is, of course.
Right, true.
But I'm also shocked that it's not more prevalent, which just leads me to think, prima facie, just isn't that great of a work. I shouldn't think that way, but I don't know a ton of people who've read it. Yeah. I've tried to find the 3 books in separate form as opposed to one book with all of them in it. I can only find it on eBay.
Yeah.
So why isn't it as popular as some others? Is it because it's not as good, or is it because we're not as good?
You know how long it's taken for Theology of the Body to sort of explode? It's similar.
Really?
All right. Because as I reread the Space Trilogy, and I want to call it the Ransom Trilogy for reasons. After you're done, you'll realize, don't call it space.
Okay.
It is Theology of the Body. It is.
What?
It's the golden key. So I think, all the good stuff gets smeared over, attacked, thrown a blanket over it. Don't look at this right now. So many good things happened like that. Louis de Montfort's True Devotion to Mary, right? Literally locked in a box for like a century until it came out. And we know now why, because John Paul II was rocked by that book, and it affected his whole papacy. So yeah, Space Trilogy, I mean, a couple rungs down, but there's a lot there.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last few years I've done a book every August, and last year was Lord of the Rings, but I read that June, July, August, because that's a mammoth undertaking, of course. So I'm excited.
It is. Good. If you get annoyed or frustrated, you're like, what the? Just text.
Give you a call.
Yeah.
What do you love about Lord of the Rings? Everything.
You just took a word out of my mouth. I stumbled on Lord of the Rings, 1985.
How old are you?
Maybe 52.
Are you?
Yeah.
I was, and yet your hair's better than mine. I was 2 years old.
2 years old?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not.
I'm 39.
Okay.
I know.
Well, I'm in my grandmother and grandfather's house in Cranberry, New Jersey, great state of New Jersey. I go up into the cedar closet. I literally remember this moment.
Oh my gosh.
So what was I then? I don't even know. 14, 13, maybe it was before 85. So I'm almost a teenager. I stumble into this old cedar closet, and I see the stack of books, and it's the Ballantine translations with great art of Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King. There's yellowed curtains and a beam of sunlight. I'm telling you, Matt, it's like cedar smell of the closet.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sunbeam falls on the Lord of the Rings books, which were all weathered because my dad's one of 10. So all my uncles, my aunts read the books in the 70s, and I pick them up and the maps. And, I just dove in, and man, it's transcendence, right? And it's like, it's this going out into this mystical world that's so strange, but you feel like it's not. I mean, Tolkien said, I discovered Middle-earth. I didn't invent it.
What a guy.
Yeah.
He was always saying cool stuff like that.
He was. Everything he said.
My dad was in the Navy, the Australian Navy, and he said that there was a line of men who would read the book once someone else was done,
Wow.
so you were like in line to read the Lord of the Rings when somebody else was done. It just made me think how much more interesting my father's generation is to the idiots today who just
passing around
destroy their brains on TikTok or YouTube or whatever.
Well, just even the discipline to read the whole thing. I'll be honest, because I started it as a teen, made it halfway through Two Towers, and because Tolkien writes so in such a detailed fashion and you're feeling it, I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish. I returned maybe post-college, read through halfway through Two Towers, and I'm so invested, I'm exhausted. I'm feeling like Frodo and Sam. Pause. And then my third entry into it, probably my 30s, finished it, and as soon as I finished it, I wanted to start reading it all over again. Yeah. And it gave me that melancholia at the end, we talked about it the other day. When Sam, oh my gosh, well, just, the sound of the waves, the sound of the gulls of the Grey Havens, his return home. Yeah, you're bawling, and you're like, oh, I don't want this to end. So then you dip into the appendices. Have you discovered the appendices?
No.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I think that's too hardcore for me.
Well, don't read it all. You jump to the timeline where you find out what happens to each of these characters. Do you know what happens to them?
No.
Sam becomes mayor of the Shire like 8 times.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Gimli and Legolas, they build a ship at the Grey Havens and sail into the Blessed Realm. Gimli's the only dwarf ever to enter Valinor. It's crazy.
What is that place he entered?
Valinor is the place of the Valar, which are these archangel types that sort of form the world and music. And so it just, you get to keep going.
Oh,
you learn about Arwen and Aragorn's marriage and their son and his death scene. Because he's a Númenórean, he chooses the time of his death. So he's, I don't know how old, he's like 180 or something. And he's like, this is the Dormition of passing on. And he says something like, I leave you now, but there's hope beyond the rim of the world. It's like this idea of the eternal life that's coming. And yeah, you just don't want it to end. It makes you sad. It breaks your heart. But you come out refreshed. Like I come out wanting to be a better dad. Wanting to love more, wanting to be more attentive to my kids, and get my kids in the journey. Have you read it to your kids?
Yeah, I read The Lord of the Rings back in the day to Liam and Avila when they were quite young. I used it just as an excuse to read it. Honestly, I supplemented it with the audio book at parts when I kind of got a little overwhelmed and the kids still wanted it.
Sure.
But so that was good. But this past year, I read it with a guy called Dr. Mike Welker, who's a big Lord of the Rings nerd. And so it was good to read that with him so I could ask him questions.
Yeah.
So help us understand what is Gandalf?
Oh my gosh. So, in a beautiful sort of hierarchical way, Tolkien's a devout Catholic, right? He's got this whole world of Valar. Well, there's Ilúvatar, the All-Father. That's the God figure that you don't hear about in Lord of the Rings explicitly. He creates the Valar, who sing the world into existence. And then there's Maiar. I'm really nerding out right now. Thanks for asking. The Maiar are sort of angels beneath the Valar. And there's a class of them called the Istari, the wizards.
Okay.
And there's 5 wizards. The gray, the white, the brown, and there's 2 blue wizards. So Gandalf is actually one of these really ancient Maiar who comes into Middle-earth on this mission with Saruman, Radagast, and the blue wizards to fulfill the mission, to fight Sauron and to bring the good. So Gandalf, he's an angel for all intents and purposes who takes on the form of an old man. Yeah, and it's wild. And he's the only guy who completes the mission. Saruman obviously goes off the deep end. Radagast just falls in love with the birds and the bees, and he doesn't do anything. And Tolkien says, the blue wizards, they wandered off to the east, and I don't know what happened to them. Which, again, that's brilliant. Right? I don't know. So
when you say he took on the form of a wizard, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incarnation.
An old man.
Yeah, because the Valar and the Maiar are kind of these luminous beings. I think they have bodily forms, but when the wizards come, they come as old men. And I guess that's Tolkien's way of showing like sort of these prophetic wisdom characters. So, I mean, Gandalf is thousands of years old, right? The wizards are. They're as old as older than the elves.
Do you think, like often when you write a story and you publish it, it takes on a life of its own, and then there are contradictions in the overall story. Is The Hobbit like that then? Do you go back and read The Hobbit and realize this is a separate book, this is for kids, this isn't...
Yeah, and when he was 18, 19. He's in the trenches during World War One. He already was composing on bits of paper the Silmarillion, the great mythology, characters like the Valar. He already had that in his head. The Hobbit was for his kids. I'm going to write a story for my kids. And, having that huge wealth, a legendarium already forming, he's like, well, I could, pull a couple things from here and there. No intention of, going all into what became Lord of the Rings, but people loved The Hobbit so much that they wanted a sequel. It took him 13 years, I think, to write The Lord of the Rings after that. But you can see, though, how he really beautifully pulls from what he wrote in The Hobbit. I mean, what were goblins kind of became orcs. It's almost like they're interchangeable. But it feels seamless the way he writes. I mean, it starts off Lord of the Rings with Bilbo and the Ring, right? So it's, the Ring, Gollum, that whole bit. Yeah. He's a perfectionist. You can go through Lord of the Rings, maybe not The Hobbit so much, right? Because it was for his kids. But if you go through Lord of the Rings, you've got characters who are in one area of Middle-earth on April the 23rd. And what is the phase of the moon at that point? If you go to these other characters, Aragorn and Legolas or something, he matches the moon phase to the time. That's what took him 13 years to write it. Everything is perfectly orchestrated. I don't know anybody who puts that much time and detail into a story.
It's nice to realize that all these great works weren't written thousands of years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes we have this impression that there were all these really smart people who did all these great works, but this is maybe the greatest novel ever written.
You probably heard of those polls. I think 4 or 5 different polls 20 some years ago. And every time, what's the book of the century? Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings. Every time, what's the book of the millennium? Lord of the Rings.
Have you read Lord of the Rings? Because he's a big Dostoevsky fan.
I've read some of it. Yeah, I want to. It's on my list.
Realms of Pleasure.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have any opinions of the new show coming out? Do you know what that's supposed to be drawn from?
What's your opinions on Amazon?
Okay, well, I admire the fact that Bezos he's a fan. He's a Tolkien fan. I love the fact that he wants to do this, that he wants to go into this.
You're way too optimistic for me.
Well, I'm just warming up.
Okay.
So, a boatload of money has been put into this. From what I've seen, the graphics are amazing, but it doesn't seem to fit the way Tolkien wrote it. Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings and landed everything basically in Northern Europe. I mean, in the area of, like, the Shire is basically England and all that, So there's a reason. So the fact that we have, like, so much ethnicity and multiplicity there, I get, like, okay, we want to make it look relevant to today, but realistically, in this fantasy world, that's not what it would have looked like. It's okay. I can, suspend my belief, but it's just... I'm a little nervous that they're going to push it a little too hard, of making it too relevant. It's a whole other world. It's millennia ago. Just stick to the text and don't try to force some present-day agenda. Peter Jackson respected very much.
I was going to ask
Tolkien's
you that.
image,
what do you think would have happened if you had gotten to a time machine, went back to Tolkien, and went, hey, I want to just put this video in this machine called a thing and play it for you? What do you think he would have thought of?
No,
he would have hated it?
He actually never explicitly said, I don't want this ever in cinematic form.
He said that?
Yes. He actually, a bit of a Luddite, he didn't like technology. Tolkien wouldn't go into a pub where there was a radio playing.
Oh.
Pubs are for pints.
I want to be Tolkien,
pipes.
man.
I know, right? He actually, the tape recorder was kind of a new thing in his day, and somebody gave him a tape recorder and encouraged him to record bits of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings and read it. He prayed the Our Father in Welsh over the tape recorder, and then he recorded into it.
What do you mean?
He was just like machines. He didn't like technology.
He prayed over it before he
over the
recorded
tape recorder
it.
in Welsh, which...
Weird.
I don't know. And then he recorded bits of The Hobbit, thank God, and Lord of the Rings. So I actually have recordings of that, of him reading bits of his work. But yeah, he didn't like... He would not have liked...
There's a YouTube clip that says why the Eagles didn't take them directly to Mordor. And he says, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah, I don't think that's really him.
Oh, you don't think that's really him?
It's a bit of a fake.
Oh,
but he
feel
probably
like
would have said that. He probably would have said that.
Oh, okay. But then somebody told me the reason for that is... What? You tell me.
That he wouldn't
Why they didn't just take them to
form?
Mordor? No, not cinematic
Oh, the
form,
Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a 5-minute movie, I mean. story.
That's
story,
fair enough.
not movie.
But then somebody also said the Black Riders could ride as fast as the wind, for example. And so it was only after Mount Doom was destroyed that the Eagles came and fetched Frodo and
Maybe
Sam
it was an
from
Iron
Mordor.
Dome kind of thing. They would have stopped them. The Nazgul, the
Yeah,
flying
maybe.
creatures. Who knows?
That's something I've heard.
Yeah.
But maybe don't get too detailed on that.
You can't do it. You can't do it. But he loved a long story. And Tolkien actually said that. He said, I want to write a really long story.
Try my hand at it.
Yeah,
I think
try
he
my
said.
hand that will engage. And man, it did. And it does. And
you read it and you think, the whole book is as beautiful and precise as poetry.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like any sentence he slacked off on. It felt like every word was chosen.
Everything is constructed so lovingly and attentively. And I tell people, when people ask me, like, should I dive in? Where do I start? What do I do? First off, I actually say skip concerning hobbits. Don't read the prologue.
Yeah.
Just dive into chapter 1. And I said, be willing to tarry a bit. Don't be afraid to linger, because Tolkien's going to linger. He's not in a rush. He's going to describe every leaf, every path, every river. He's going to give 5 names to every body of water and just relish it, because he did. And that's what he actually said. Middle Earth is it comes from my fascination with the world, with everything in it. And we need that. That's why I think Lord of the Rings is medicinal for people today. Because we're flicking, we flick, and we're just looking for a quick, but first off, that's not human. That's not a human process of receiving information. It affects us. It makes us more restless. But when you can just tarry in the story and linger and not be in a rush, you start to soak up every detail, right? Mm-hmm. Lord of the Rings is very sensual in the proper sense, that you're engaging all of your senses, the smell, right, of Lothlorien, like the Malorn trees, the look of those golden leaves falling, all of it, the water. You just got to chill, hang it. I read the chapter in the House of Tom Bombadil. That's like spiritual reading.
Tell me about Tom Bombadil.
Oh my
what are your
gosh,
thoughts of Tom Bombadil? People have
Many
opinions.
people have thoughts, yeah. I don't know if you follow Nerd of the Rings. You ever see that YouTube channel?
I think I watched the video on that, but I can't recall.
Yeah, a lot of people have different thoughts about Tom Bombadil. Very mysterious character, and Tolkien himself doesn't get detailed with it either. So I'm not really sure. Like, wait, didn't you make it up? Again, he discovered it. But some people say maybe he's a Valar who's taken human form, a Maiar. The best explanation, I think. So let's go back. Tolkien's whole world, Middle-earth, starts in music, right? Iluvatar encourages the Valar he creates to sing. What they sing becomes mountains, valleys, seas, trees, all of it. It's interesting because C.S. Lewis borrowed that idea from Tolkien, his buddy, and Narnia was created in music. If you remember, Aslan the lion is singing, and Narnia comes to be. So there's the music of the Valar that forms the world. When you meet Tom Bombadil, what's he doing? Singing constantly. Like,
dancing around.
Even when he's talking, it sounds like he's singing.
Yeah.
Everything's lyrical.
Yes.
He's got this like jubilance that just comes pouring out of him. He's afraid of nothing. The ring has no effect on him.
That's right.
So one,
and
idea.
Yet he can see. Aren't I right in thinking
he can see Frodo
when
even
he's
with
got
the ring on?
Yeah,
it's like literally. So some posit is the Iluvatar. Is he God? But that's not true from Bombadil's own words, right? He's the master of the wood. But one thought is that he is the music of the Valar. He's the embodied incarnation of the music of the Valar, because he'll say to Old Man Willow, right, oh, I know the song for him. So through music, he can sort of manipulate or control. So I think that's kind of cool that he's embodied music. And it makes sense because he's always singing.
Somebody told me that Tom Bombadil is sort of representative of those people that we cannot box in.
Ooh, I like that.
We want to understand them. We want to put a category over them and sort them out, but they just burst asunder all of our labels.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that a lot.
I think that's what Tolkien would say too, because he didn't, when people would ask him, he was just not really sure.
One of the most beautiful things Tom Bombadil says that just almost brought me to tears was when he talked with such reverence of Farmer Maggot. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He's
got dirt in his fingernails and yeah, something. It's like a really earthy description of this guy is rooted in the real, right? He's rooted in the real.
But it just makes me think, like here I am sitting across from you. If the Lord allows me, I catch an insight into your magnificence, Like you were willed into existence by God. But we walk around just treating people like they're objects in the way of us doing things.
Constantly.
We even do that with our family. I look at on our 15th wedding anniversary, my wife and I went away and we were just laying in bed and I was looking at her and I was brought to tears because I thought, how many cups of coffee have I had with you? How many times have we passed each other? And I feel like I'm seeing you now. It just broke me because I saw how magnificent and individual and beautiful she was. So I love that line of about Farmer Maggot. Like, here's this fella, we all just sort of, whatever.
Right.
And we do that to everybody.
Yeah,
I do that. You know
what, as you're saying that, Matt, I'm even thinking like Farmer Maggot. Maggot is like this, ew. Like, I know what a maggot is. It's the larva of a fly, right? That's one term, maggot. So even taking this sort of like almost crass or, hillbilly kind of name, and yet Bombadil says, this guy is amazing. He's magnificent. He's rooted in the real. Listen to him. Tells me, it's that idea of being attentive to the miracle of every person that you meet.
Yeah.
Every person that you meet. I can go back to like college days and wisdom would come from the professors, but there was a groundskeeper. He's actually a security guard. Jerry.
Willie.
This guy, Jerry. This guy, he was like a Farmer Maggot character. You just look at him and he had an attentiveness. He would remember you. He would ask about your family. And again, it's not, I'm here to learn things, but this guy's teaching me wisdom. And I think Farmer Maggot is like that. And I love the idea. It's because he's a farmer. He's got his feet in the soil. He's plugged into the natural rhythms of things, as is Bombadil, right? And when you look at our culture today, we are so disconnected from the real.
Even today, you and I went and bought some beer, which we'll be drinking on the second half of the show with Neil.
Looking forward to it.
But, the lady was just like, I love to watch Netflix. I've been watching the show about polygamy. I'm like, okay, that's great. But it made me want to cry.
It's so removed from...
It made me want to cry because I'm her. Not because I'm better than her, but because I too am an idiot.
Yeah.
And I could be spending it viewing people, not in a weird viewing with people, but like looking at people,
not a voyeuristic way.
Not a voyeuristic way, or reading something beautiful. But instead, I'm like, what's refresh Daily Wire? See what the latest bullcrap news is that doesn't matter at all.
I do it too. We have to be so intentional. I mean, they're literally like Pandora's box. The smartphones are Pandora's box. And the more we open the lid, I mean, just all manner of stuff comes out. And then it's in your head, and then it distracts you, and it splinters your focus. I fall into it as well. You got to be so intentional. I know your month is coming up, your big sabbatical.
This will be going live in August.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's, we talk about Jesus in the Eucharist as the real presence. And I think we're supposed to model that in our interactions with people. I love what you just said about Cameron. I told you that yesterday about Rebecca.
Let me say what you said, just because if you say it...
Rebecca, are you listening right now?
Rebecca, listen to this. We're walking, and I said something like, your wife's lovely. And you said, oh my gosh. And you almost stopped in your tracks as we were walking. And you said, you know what Rebecca means? Captivating?
In Hebrew, captivating.
And you said, I just look at her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Captivating.
Yeah, how did I get here? How did I land her?
Yeah, but how did she land you? I mean, she married up. She's great, but you're
thanks,
pretty great
man.
too. No, that's my line. I always say that the men I know and love married up just to change things around.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate
No, but she's so beautiful. I just love the way you spoke of her.
As you're talking about Cameron, I'm thinking about Rebecca. We're married next year 20 years.
You know what Cameron means? Since Rebecca,
here it comes.
Since Rebecca means captivating, is that right?
Captivating.
All right, Cameron. I want you to have a good swig of that before I tell you.
All right, cleared.
No, I need you to I need you to have liquid in your mouth.
I don't want to ruin your materials.
Crooked nose. Can you look that up? Can you check that, Neil?
I really hope I don't find anything about that.
There's no way that's true. It's unacceptable. And is she aware of that?
She told me.
What?
She's got a great nose.
Crooked nose, from the Gaelic word cram sran, which means crooked nose.
Yeah, crooked noses are also captivating. You can't stop looking at them.
That is a good point.
They're weird looking.
She doesn't have a
She's got a great nose. Great nose,
so
great
maybe
ears.
A great grandmother.
What I love about my wife is she's got a little nose and little ears. Because as you age, the cartilage loosens and they get larger. Or they seem to get larger.
Good point. Okay.
So me and my old wife with a nice shaped nose and ears.
I don't know how to build back better right now. Sorry for that.
Rebecca,
yeah. But no, I love what you said, because you've heard this a million times. The eyes are the windows to the soul. But it's so hard to engage for more than 10 seconds anybody's eyes even your spouse. I mean, do you and Cameron actually like gaze in each other's eyes?
There's times I think to myself, I've chatted with my wife a bunch today. I don't think I've looked at her yet.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to do that, but it's hard. I don't know. I don't think we're supposed to force that either. But there should be. It's almost like gazing in someone's eyes. That a life unlike your own can be your greatest teacher. Saint Columban said, "A life unlike your own can be your greatest teacher."
A life unlike
your own can be your greatest teacher. Just tarrying a little bit there. It is actually when the glory starts coming out, right? And not just the glory, but the wounds too, right? Everybody's got like such a story. Everybody. I love. I don't do it often, but we were traveling to New York for talks or something or some event as a staff. We did something years ago, and we're on the subway, and you got the pole, and there's you got like all these hands. There's like millions of people in the New York subway system constantly, right? Millions, and we're standing there, and we're all jostling around. And Christopher West is there, and some of our other staff, and we're just like holding on the pole, and I'm looking at the hands. I'm like, this is amazing. Look at that dude's hand. Dude's got the tattooed, fear or love or whatever it was. And just like, you're looking at all these gnarled hands or soft hands. And then you like look for that fleeting eye contact. And if you let yourself, it is overwhelming because each of us is not going anywhere. Like we're going to be around for millennia. We're immortal. That's amazing. Amazing. And I think heaven's going to be getting a little taste of everybody's story all the way back to the womb. Like that's why heaven will never be boring, right? Billions and trillions of lives, and how each uniquely manifested something about the mystery of God. It's not going to get old. That's wonderful.
Bring it back to Lord of the Rings a little bit. I think they were saying, is that just not focusing, Neil? Or?
It just was a little bit off. So switch it.
Thanks. When they talk about the eagles, how they're not concerned with the lives of men or something to that effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And why was that? Oh, was it the trees? Maybe it was the...
Oh, the Ents are not concerned. The Ents. The eagles in a certain sense too.
Right.
But the Ents...
And why was that? Because we're like a blip on the radar of history?
Yeah, there's something about their lifespan that's just... like Fangorn or Treebeard, he goes way, way back. It was the original elves that breathed life into the... As the elves were... formed by Iluvatar, they can subcreate and form. They gave life to the trees, some of the trees. So I think it's just the longevity of their lives. Like they just see passing shadow, even Sauron, like this is going to pass.
See, we can learn so much from that.
Yes, we
Those
can.
of us who keep refreshing our news feeds.
Right.
It's like,
this too shall pass.
In a way, shouldn't concern us. Not that we shouldn't be engaged with our brothers and sisters in the world in which we live. So there's a difference there.
Right.
But our story is so much larger than what Joe Biden accidentally didn't say when he was trying to say something else. Like, why?
It's less than a blip.
Why do we care?
Honestly, I don't know. Or let it ruffle our peace.
Why are we obsessed? Yeah.
That's hard. Well, I mean, we're second by second.
By what?
We're moving second by second, inch by inch. It's kind of slow. But
no,
I want tranquil. I want that peace, even like family life. We talked about this with our kids too. I can get so stressed and, I got to step back. Like it's okay. In the grand scheme, it's going to be okay. And you just got to let it be a mess for a bit. Let it play out and just keep the peace, maintain the peace.
Because everybody older than us with older children says this goes by real quick.
Yeah.
And we're like, do you promise?
Or how about that? What's that song? You're going to miss this. You're going to want this back. And I'm like, not this part. No, I'm not. But then it does flash by. In fact, I was sitting in front of my 13-year-old. He was going to bed and I just went in to check in on him.
You got it. Yeah, this is beautiful.
Oh my gosh. But it's just...
Is this the story from last night?
No,
Sorry?
no.
Oh, okay.
But this was a couple of weeks ago. And this is my saint maker. I mean, all my kids are my saint makers. My wife is my saint. We're all saint makers to each other. But I just had this moment. I'm looking at him, and he's almost 6 feet tall already. He's like, I don't know, 5'7", 5'8", or something crazy. And I flashed to the moment. We adopted him at 5.5 weeks. I met him in his second week of life. He was the first diaper I changed. And honestly, it is insane how fast that just flashed by, because I'm looking at this kid who's just big, lanky teenager.
That's a way to realize it goes quick.
Yeah.
Because I imagine myself 10 years ago and where the kids were. And I do think, wouldn't that be cool to go back there for a day?
Right.
And
right,
not
right.
stress out like I did 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it isn't that big a deal. And
you know what?
you gotta let it flow over you. No, you got to let it flow over you, and just even this morning, I told you this morning was kind of chaotic. It's just kind of hold the gaze. This too shall pass. Sometimes I just got to take the hit. You know, you're all. Dr. Greg Bataro is a friend of mine, and he talks about like this emotional equilibrium that kids have. We're supposed to be the equilibrium.
I know.
We're supposed to like steady.
But so often I react in the same
I'm doing
way.
It, and we're like, "Arr!" But I got to just sit. I got to be like the rock, and they're the waves, and it's just. Psh.
That's right. And whenever I do that, I'm so grateful. Not because I know I've done the right thing, but because it has the correct effect. Because then my son and my daughter come to me and they apologize.
Yes.
And it's not just about me having to apologize and then reminding them, what you did was also inappropriate, even though I also, and then it just muddies everything.
Yeah, it's a stabilizer. Yeah.
Oh,
no, I just remember the
Jesus.
story. I shared with you the other day the story when I had a complete like meltdown, conniption. Our 4 kids. It's like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Sometimes, like at bedtime, it's total chaos. I often joke like over our door, you know, people have like live, laugh, love. I want to put like abandon hope, all ye who enter in. Because I don't know what to do with you, and why are you screaming in my face, and I don't know. So when all 4 volcanoes are erupting with all these needs, and you're just, I don't know what language to speak to right now. I had a melt, I lost it, and I was like, shit, I got to get out of here. I ran downstairs, and over the fireplace we have a Divine Mercy, image of Jesus, Divine Mercy. And I'm just like collapsing. I'm like, Jesus, I can't. This is my prayer. I can't. And then this is like 10:30 at night, 10:45 at night. I feel a little tap. Daddy, you want some water? And it's my Sheila.
How beautiful.
Who was a spewing lava in my face 10 minutes ago. And then the big guy comes down. You got this, buddy.
Don't call me buddy.
Yeah. First off, but no. But then you realize, like, wow, this is okay too. Even as dads, even as parents, kids need to see I've got my limitations. I've got my threshold too, and it's okay to like kind of.
How much more helpful to see you lose it in that way, where you just can't do it anymore before the Lord, as opposed to just shouting at them. I
wonder. You know, I often wonder, like, how much are my kids going to remember? And I hope they don't remember that part. And what's the earliest memory that I have? But it would be cool to think, I remember my dad collapsed in front of Jesus praying. Yeah. That would be...
That's so much cooler than Dad was crying in the bathroom.
Yeah, clutching a pint.
Yeah, that's right.
Help me. Bring me peace.
Yeah.
But no, I went to Jesus for the peace. And he gave it to me through my kids.
And I'm reminded of our Lord's words, if you give a cup of water to one of my followers.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go Sheila. What a legend.
Yeah, she's a gift.
Did you name your children? Because they're adopted.
So all 4 of our kids are adopted from birth. They all came home their 3rd day of life, except for Seth. He was 5.5 weeks. And so Seth, our oldest, is the only one whose birth mom chose the name Seth Ryan. And she just asked if we would retain that name. And we're like, wow, I mean... Yeah, to honor her, and what a gift. This is cool, Matt. We went home and Googled. Seth means appointed or chosen one. And Ryan is Gaelic for little king. So, and he was our first child that we adopted. He's our appointed little king. So we're like, sweet, we won't touch that one. But the other 3 kids we named. Claire is our 11-year-old, and Claire just, you know, she's it's wild when you name your kids as babies, and then later you realize, whoa, that name worked. Claire has the connotation of light, right? Clarity, claritas. So she's a light. She's got a real spirit of wonder. Sheila, actually, you would know it. What does Sheila mean? I know in Australia it's kind of like a girl or a lady.
Neil.
Google it. But
yeah, every woman's
Sheila is my mother-in-law's name, and I have an aunt Sheila, my dad's youngest sister, who actually died quite young and tragically. But so that's our Sheila. Got it, Neil?
I'm seeing heavenly or blind one.
Oh.
Wow.
So you've got a claritas and a blind one.
That's nice. And Kagan actually comes from, we named him Kagan Matthew, Kagan. Kagan comes from an Irish song, Peter Kagan and the Wind, that I grew up with.
Nice.
You know the legend of the Silkies, the seal people off the coast of Ireland? Okay, the whole legend, the Irish, of the Silkies are, when a seal comes to land, they can take the form of a human being. but if they ever go back out to sea, they revert to their seal form and can never return.
Cool.
So there's a really mystical, beautiful song, and Peter Kagan was a fisherman and fell in love with the Silky, and so
Beautiful.
Kagan. It's a good strong.
Kagan, yeah.
And it means little fire, which
little fire.
He is a little fire.
My middle name's Ryan.
Oh, nice.
What's your middle name?
Christopher.
You had to think for a moment.
I did, because I went to Michael, my patron saint.
Yeah. Good.
William Christopher Michael Donaghy.
It's very good. Do you take a lot of pride in being... Are you Irish?
Very. Yep. Irish Scotch, actually. My grandmother was from Scotland, and my grandfather from Ireland. Yeah, I do. And we all, cool. I think I told you, my grandfather joined the American Army because he was born in the U.S. and went back to Ireland. But he joined the Army, lost his accent. My grandmother grew up in Clydebank, Glasgow, Scotland, held that thick Scottish brogue for her whole life, and we've all kind of picked up on it. So, but yeah, I love my Irish-Scottish heritage. I love it. I love the music. I love the fact that it's just this, windswept, sea-splashed island, and the poets and saints and scholars. Like, I love it. I love it.
We need their intercession right now.
Yeah, we sure do.
For Ireland.
For Ireland, yeah.
I used to live in Donaghy, lived there for 3 years in the Gaeltacht. You know that?
I don't know that. I've been up to Slieve League. Yeah. And my relations come from Redcastle in Donegal.
And Enya's folks own a pub up there.
Oh, wow.
They would go to daily mass, and so it was really cool. And I got to know her sister a little bit, and Enya would come up and sing at midnight mass. It was fascinating that nobody in the town cared about her, though. It's funny, like a prophet is never welcome, right? Like, not that she's a prophet.
Well, like, not animosity, but just didn't make a big deal.
She didn't care about it. It's like, oh yeah, Enya, yeah, she's not that famous. It's like, are you kidding me? She's not that famous?
Wow.
What's she doing these days, Enya? You should know, you're Irish.
I don't know, but we do have her music lilting around the house sometimes.
She's so lovely. I mean, whatever. I got no idea what she's into. I'm sure she's into stuff I wouldn't agree with. But, I mean, A Day Without Rain...
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
please.
Oh, yeah.
Great album.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, A Day Without Rain, that's as much as you get in Ireland every year.
Right.
There was like a 3-week period in July where it was sunshine. And it was during that period that you realized if it was like this all the time, houses would be like $1 billion each. Because Ireland's so beautiful.
Right.
Although maybe it wouldn't be if
all
it was
the green starts to pop,
yeah.
I'm sure. The farty shades.
So beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's interesting how people today, I don't know if this is because... we've severed ourselves from our roots in many respects. Mm-hmm. I was just hunting with my mate John Henry in Namibia, and we were sitting in the back of a truck. I'm like, what's a song? And I thought, we suck because we don't have any communal songs.
Yes.
I mean, we have some rock songs that we both know, which are kind of cool. We could sing Africa by Toto.
True.
That's cool. But, it was sad that we don't have, like folk songs are like... fairy tales. They're written not by people but by cultures, and we don't have any to sing. And it occurred to me that maybe the reason people are really into finding out about their ancestry right now, like that's a big thing,
which I'm really psyched about. I'm glad people are doing
too.
that. Yeah.
And I think it's that same impulse that wants us to reclaim our Catholic tradition and makes us so angry that people decided to throw it out for what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there. It's really sad. I mean, American culture, is it culture?
What do you think? What do you
in the
think culture
traditional
means?
sense of the word? I mean,
I think a life lived in common. What do you think culture is?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
But I also think a life lived in the soil in which that life is planted. Like you like about the Irish and the Scottish background in me. I grew up learning the Irish songs and bits of poetry and different things like that, and I love it so much because it roots me back in. There's certain smells, like, I can picture my grandmother making the mincemeat and the meat pies for my grandpa. It's such a Scottish thing, or an Irish thing. So, are people going to go back and think about their latte or their macchiato that they got at Starbucks and it's going to bring back childhood memories? Yeah. I don't know. We don't kind of have that anymore. Well, who knows? But being rooted, I think so culture, it's also being in the soil. And again, expanding your senses to drink in where you are. Like, what a difference even growing up in South Central New Jersey is to growing up in Aspen, Colorado. Like, your whole life changed. Like, everything's different.
But everything's so fluid here in the States.
Yeah.
Australia too, and maybe it's becoming more so as people can work from home or they can easily take another job. We're a lot more kind of interconnected, perhaps, than we were once. Like, my dad worked in the local lead smelter our entire life, right? And there was no other options. It wasn't like, maybe we could take this job, maybe we could go to this city. Like, this is it.
Right.
And I'm sure he would have loved other options, actually, but
Right.
it's easy to romanticize, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things that,
is
we
true.
aren't
That
kind
is
of
true.
constricted by. But
I mean, to that point though, I love to travel, and I know you travel quite a bit too. And traveling and teaching, to me, it's just phenomenal. And I love to get into the soil. I want to get
mean?
out.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Recently,
Out
a
of
couple weeks
script,
ago, we did a talk. I did a course on the way of beauty in Madrid, Spain. And one of our students, I met him last summer when we were there, and he said, "Hey, you want to come out and meet my family?" And instantly, I'm like, "Heck yes! I want to get away from the city and this experience in this controlled environment and get into your family's villa in Escorial." And just like, what does it smell like? What does it look like? And they're bringing out their native, like their food, and they're proud of it. You know, they're so excited about it. And
you know what's sad is going to Namibia, where I was a couple of weeks ago, or going to Auschwitz, where I was in Lent, and there's a KFC.
See, that annoys
right
me.
on the
That
outskirts
annoys
of
me to no
Auschwitz.
end. There ought to be laws against that.
Golly.
Because it robs you. You know, for a split second, you're like, "Oh, sweet, there's a there's a Dunkin' Donuts."
I think Starbucks are not allowed to be in Rome, Neil. Good luck. Whenever I've been to Rome, I've never found a Starbucks.
That's good.
I hope that's true.
I don't want the comfort sometimes of home if I'm not home.
Yeah.
I'll get the comfort of home when I go back home. But I want to be in a foreign land, right? I want to feel and smell and hear and taste like the wildest place I ever got to go and teach.
What are you laughing
Got
at?
it?
They opened up a new one on the 5th of April, 2022 in Rome. So
Son of a biscuit. The wildest place I ever was I did a week-long Theology of the Bible retreat for bishops of Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. So I'm up in Goroko, like the rainforest.
Did you feel completely unworthy leading that? Not
absolutely.
that you were, but
Teaching
did you feel
bishops?
that way?
Yeah. No, I mean, for the last 16 years, I felt unworthy. I'm like, but if there's a joyful surrender to, Lord, you called me to this, and I'm happy to say
This
yes.
is your fault.
It's all your fault if I
Not
screwed
mine.
up.
Yep.
No, it's the greatest blessing. So I'm up there, and everything is so wild and foreign and so not anything I've ever seen, smelled, tasted, touched before in
The
my life.
soundtrack is different. The birds, right?
Yeah, and
that's the
bugs.
soundtrack. And the
I
bugs,
woke up, it was probably 5 a.m, pitch black, and I hear a scream, like a screech. And I don't want to do it right now. It's like the Nazgul.
Okay.
Imagine the Nazgul, but
Wow.
like 6 octaves higher. It was a beetle outside my window, right?
What?
Yeah, and there's like a couple bars. There's no screens. There's no air conditioning. And it's just, what the? And I remember I got the phone and recorded it for my wife and just say like, this is happening and it's 5 a.m. and I don't know what it is. But I love that.
But I'm afraid.
Yeah, I love the experience of it. And you know, people throw in, you know, when you put your luggage on the rack and it goes in, you get on your plane. In Papua New Guinea, it was like people were throwing machetes and baskets of coconuts, you know, on the thing. Machete. Like, this is awesome. This doesn't happen in Philadelphia.
You could try, but you would be arrested.
Right. Immediately.
Yeah. Well, this is one thing I love about Steubenville. I mean, Steubenville is so run down that our loan shark places can't survive. I mean, they've had to leave town. You know, the loan places, the
pawn shop?
No, you go and get money.
Okay.
What are they called? Those money places. They're terrible. But
mob front? I'm not really
they
sure.
have big interest rates. You know, they give you money. Yeah. That didn't survive. But what's happening is all these locals, we're all building these little things now, like the brewery, the cigar lounge, that coffee shop. It's nice, man.
So what you're doing is bringing culture.
We really are.
You are. Yeah,
and it's exciting to see people who want to be a part of Steubenville and like want to live here forever.
Right. That's awesome.
I was in Abu Dhabi, and the people who are native to that place have a particular dress they wear. The men, I mean, I think just the men. I think we should do that in Steubenville, like a kind of shirt. And those people get paid more than the immigrants who are neurosurgeons, and I know that because a neurosurgeon was driving me around.
Nice.
And in Abu Dhabi, you can't own land if you're not from there. You can rent land for 99 years, then you can piss off. I respect that
These
so
are
much.
good. This is going to create an authentic culture of a committed, like you're committed. I love it.
Yeah.
But, you know, culture also means communion. So what you're talking about is people wanting to be together and do stuff together. That's human.
Which is so hard to do. It's so hard to commit to a place when it's so easy to go somewhere else. I'm somebody who's moved about 10 times.
Right.
I've probably been in 10 different houses since I got married 15 years ago.
Wow. That's hard. Yeah, I think it's very different from, I think, our parents or our grandparents, because just even the means, like, it's just not there. This is where we are. We're in Pittsburgh forever, or wherever it might be.
And your friends were there forever, and those families were there forever too. It wasn't like everybody else is moving, but you don't have a choice. That would really suck, because then everybody you know and love has to move.
Right.
But there was a sort of, I don't know, a sense in which I can rely on you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that out loud, but there's no other option for them either. So they're here with you in this thing, and you can just complain about your little town together.
It's funny here, because I'm kind of in both camps, because there's a stability and a familiarity that's nice, and the permanence, it's nice. It's good, not nice. I hate the word nice.
Yeah.
It's good. But the adventure, too. I mean, that's the epic of back to Lord of the Rings.
But it's there and back again, though, right?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's
when
not
they
there.
go away, they come back, and what was familiar has been desecrated. So they have to revisit, reform, transform it. But then it becomes better.
Jordan Peterson would have a field day with that.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure he's already talked about it. But there and back again, and then what was there, what you were nostalgic about has been perverted, and having to redeem it.
So, sticking the flag back in and reclaiming it, and then it becoming better than it was before. Have you ever had Jordan Peterson on your show?
Oh, no. I tried getting him on. He spoke in Steubenville. Make it happen, Neil.
A quick Google.
Make it 2 weeks. I tried to get him on, but he's a busy man.
Well, I mean,
and a very, very pricey man.
I'm sure.
And good for him.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
But I think he's been refreshing. Kind of germane to what we're talking about. He's trying to point out the stability, like these things that are immovable and important and human, and we're just like scrapping them for convenience. He's getting us back to that, like getting grounded, even just in your own self.
I know that there are Catholics who are just fed up with him or uninterested in him because what he's saying is maybe so basic, but it's because the basic's been lost. It's the human formation that we don't have while we're working on our spiritual formation. Maybe that's why we're kind of getting back to the roots of...
Oh, yeah. I mean, Theology of the Body that I teach is Humanity 101. It's utterly simple, but we have gone so far afield. I mean, our culture right now is unmoored from reality. We have no idea. So, this isn't something new. It's something ancient, but it feels new because, that's what it means to be human. Even what you said about Cameron, attentiveness, loving gaze, just be. Because what's heaven going to be?
That
being, communion. And if we're just like, what else is on? It's not going to work. It doesn't bring peace.
So I've said this before, like the metaverse, whatever the hell it is Facebook's doing or Meta's doing.
Did you see that commercial they made for that?
It was so
strange.
Awful.
The jungle thing, bizarre.
The whole thing was weird.
Yeah.
But, okay, so how long do you think, Neil, do we have until people are in virtual goggles? Since Neil's younger than us, I feel like he's got his finger on the pulse more.
Well, people already do that. I mean, there's VR chat. People have communities in VR chat where they're all in their VR things.
Because right now, we almost live more in our phone.
Yep.
I think it was
absolutely
Elon Musk, who said we are already cyborgs. It's just this thing isn't implanted in us.
Right, it's removable right now.
Right, and the watch is one step. I don't know why you would tether yourself to the internet like that. Take that off immediately.
It's just to check my...
But so he says, we're kind of like cyborgs now, We're so reliant on this thing, and how many times do you glance at your phone a day, get news?
Over 80 times a day, statistically. Teenagers at least.
Subvert interesting conversations. Right. Like, who won the last Olympics? Oh, let me look it up. No, how about don't, and we'll just chat about it, and this is part of the fun,
Sit in the ache, right?
So, so we live in our phones a lot of the time. How long until it's wrapped around our face and we live there more than we do in reality? How long do you think that will be?
Oh my gosh, within the next decade, I'm sure. Less, probably.
All right, so here's the next question. People will be in the metaverse, right? Just like we're all watching YouTube on videos and phones right now, okay? And then what happened, right, is Catholics moved from youth ministry, for maybe a number of reasons, and other kinds of ministry, to online ministry, right? That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So how long is it until people are missionaries in the metaverse? Oh my gosh. And wouldn't that be gross? Doesn't that just seem wrong?
It does.
That's their full-time job. People pay them.
Weird. Totally inhuman.
But it seems wrong. It seems like, don't do that.
It's as heretical as Manichaeism in the early church. This body-soul duality.
So where's the divide between what I'm doing and what you're doing at Theology of the Body on your YouTube channel? So I want to know where...
Right.
Because I look at the metaverse and being a missionary in the metaverse and think that seems gross. I haven't thought it through, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking it's gross. But it seems wrong, and you shouldn't do it.
Newspapers are, as old as whatever. And it's information that's being transported into your hand, and you leaf through it. We're still doing that. We're offering a more embodied look, so to speak, through our courses online for people who can't do it. But we're always saying, but if you can come in person, come bodily for this retreat, this course, this immersion. So I think as long as the medium remains like this information that could lead to formation. I mean, even...
No, but the thing is, though, if the vast majority of Americans are in the metaverse more than they are in the real world, wouldn't that then justify Christians to be in the metaverse more than they are in the real world in order to reach those? Now, that seems wrong, even though I can't express why it is, and that leads me to question other forms of social media. Like, I'm embarrassed that I'm on TikTok, and I hope I get banned soon. Could you make that happen, Neil?
No, don't ask him to do that. That could get ugly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, okay, so...
And then, so if TikTok is wrong, which I think it is, like someone said to me yesterday, like, my son's addicted to TikTok, but hey, if that's the worst thing he does, I'm like, no, that is the worst thing he could do.
Yes.
And then I think, all right, but then like one step down seems to be like Twitter. That seems just wrong. Why am I on Twitter? But then I think, okay, but like Facebook... YouTube, like, should I cancel all of it, or is there some that is objectively better platforms than other platforms? And what is that? What is it that makes it better?
I wouldn't be able to diagnose and break that down right now, but
yeah, you go.
I think YouTube's a better platform just because it's longer form. You're sitting, you have to watch one thing for a longer amount of time. I mean,
absolutely.
Even it's like they're all just technologies. Books are technologies. Sitting with and reading with a book, you could say, "Oh, that's not natural. You should go out and see the real world. Put that book down and interact with the reality." Right. It's like, okay, well, it's all just kind of degrees. So I think your reaction to the metaverse, I think that like you would just say the metaverse is gross in the first place. So that might be where a lot of the grossness of evangelization comes from that. Where I would just say that that's probably not where you would want to evangelize then.
But you think it's okay that others would?
There's...
If they feel so
I think it's another thing too. It's like when you see people evangelizing on like TikTok, it's just the format doesn't fit. It's not like well suited to kind of deep
people
thinking.
Aren't there to think things through.
People aren't there to think things through. So they try to like reformat it, and you're like, this is just like not good. It's not good evangelization because you can't really do that on that platform. So I don't know.
It means to an end. Means to an end. Means to an end. What's the end? Communion, right? We're having communion. The people who are watching this conversation right now are seeing us communicate and entering into some of that, but it might inspire them to enter into a deeper communion and conversation. And to Neil's point, I love the fact, and Jordan Peterson's talked about this as well, it's no longer this contrived, we got 4 minutes and cut, No,
that's right.
We can just...
That's a really good point.
This is more human.
Like the same moment in which people are blowing their brains out on TikTok, they're also sitting around for 3-hour conversations.
Right, which is more human. So there's a scale.
Yeah, so there's that. And prior to YouTube, you couldn't do that. You couldn't have a 3-hour conversation that you could digest. Like you can't do that on vinyl or CD.
True.
But you could on a series of CDs.
And, people always throw in like St. Paul, he used the roads of Rome to evangelize, and the internet is like the new Roman roads. So it's unique in, do you feel so called? I mean...
But maybe you're wrong to feel so called. Like, I don't think St. Paul would have been on Twitter. I don't know if he would have or not, but I hope he wouldn't have. I would have lost respect for him. Can I say that?
Yes.
Like, I don't think Jesus Christ would have been on Twitter. But maybe he would. What do I know? I don't know. Just throwing thoughts out.
I think John Paul II, 1995, wrote a thing on the internet. So internet was kind of just coming out, kind of new, fresh. And he talked about, just the fact that the name of Christ can appear on billions of computers and monitors throughout the world.
Yeah.
But are we engaging with him really? Like, this could be helpful, but it's not the end. Yeah, I jumped off social media 3 years ago. January 1st, 2020. I jumped off Facebook, jumped off all the other stuff. I pop in for news apps. I pop in on YouTube, your channel sometimes. Try to be better. But I am glad to be off. No, I am so
when you
glad.
say you jumped off social media,
I was on Facebook.
Canceled your accounts or
Twitter's canceled. I'm done with that. Facebook I just haven't touched in 3 years. I think it's still out there. But and I used to evangelize through it a lot. For years, since like 2006 or 7, I think I was on, on Instagram and all that. But certain events unfolded in the family, and I was just, it's time to just stop. I just felt called to it. Not everybody feels it, but I felt called to just step off. And it's been great. I have no idea how I had so much time to to put things on that were true and good and beautiful, but
again,
the thing is,
they're
like,
not designed to have the headspace to receive what you're putting
again,
out there.
like being an embodied person with senses, the outliers, this is how the world comes to me, to live in the 20 feet around me, to be attentive to the weather of the day, the smell and touch and feel, instead of like I'm walking through all of it like this, bumping into stuff. I prefer it now. I just want to kind of stay in the 20 feet around me, and obviously pray and think of others and reach out, but it's being present. It's back to the real presence.
So here's the question I want to get to. So it doesn't sound like you're necessarily in agreement with my suspicion that it would be wrong for Christians to flock into the metaverse.
I think it could be a call for some. Like the mission call from the beginning, some.
But my fear is that way too many people will think they're being called there for the same reason I might think I'm being called here, and namely YouTube pays me. This is nice. I get money from doing this.
It's a subjective call. You got to pray through it. Honestly, it's the whole thing of, whatever. Rwanda needs missionaries, or Chile needs whatever. You needs missionaries. So I should just go. Well, you can't bulldoze your way into a vocation. It's a call. Don't force it.
Yeah, so just because some people may be not called but think
Very
they
unique.
are isn't an argument against those who are called and are doing the thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still flirting with cancelling Twitter. Yeah, because they suspended me recently.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I was hoping, but okay, so I didn't know what to do. When they suspended me, I didn't really know what to do because when they deleted my tweet that they found so offensive. And then when I tried to log on, they said something like delete your tweet. So I guess they censored it so that no one will see it. And they say, by deleting this tweet, you agree that you have violated Twitter's agreements or whatever. So I felt, okay, I can delete that because I can agree that it went against their stupid policy.
Can you tell me what it was?
I don't know if I want to say it on YouTube.
Don't worry about it.
I'll get banned. But I basically said that this particular woman who thinks that she's now a man really isn't.
Yeah. That's
really
the same
isn't.
reason that a month ago Jordan Peterson got knocked off.
It was the
Twitter.
exact same reason. So that's the same thing.
Noted. Okay. This is insane. It's absolutely insane.
So if they had have said, by clicking delete, you acknowledge that you committed an act of hate speech, I could never have done it. Right? Morally, I couldn't have done
hate
it.
speech.
Right. But because they said, by deleting, you acknowledge that you violated our terms of service, I can do that in good conscience and just say, well, your terms of service are crap, but sure, I acknowledge that I did that. So I did.
It still feels like groveling, prostrating yourselves before.
But he was Matt Walsh's point, because I was chatting with him. He got suspended from Twitter, and I said, do you think you may be a coward for deleting those tweets? He's like, well, no, and here's why. One, they censor them, so it's not like they remain up there.
Okay.
Two, why not use Twitter's platform against it? Like, they want me off. They don't want me on there saying the things that I'm going to continue to say.
Okay.
So if I just go, okay, I'll go, they win. Whereas if I delete the tweet and then continue to say the things that I do until they finally ban me. So I thought, well, that's prudent. I think that's good.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
But I still think Twitter's a hellscape, and I think that I could maybe encourage others to get off by getting off. I'm thinking about doing a live stream where I try to get 100 people to agree to cancel their Twitter if I do.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's this monopolizing, this bullying is off the chart. It's so ironic that for speaking a truth, you're accused of a bullying when you're literally being bullied by this massive structure, this faceless structure. I hate it. I'm 3 years free. I love it.
Well, so about 5 or 8 years ago, I gave my social media passwords to somebody else, so I don't run it.
Okay.
I don't even have the logins, which is probably hugely irresponsible of me. But that tweet, like I said, well, tweet this one. Like sometimes I'll tell my guy what to tweet.
Sure.
But I'm the same. I had the same experience of like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. But then the problem is you can just fill up your time on one thing. So you might be free from all these other things, but then you're constantly refreshing just 2 websites instead of 800, but you're spending as much time refreshing those 2 websites than if you were using all 800.
Even right now, like I hate that we're talking about it because it feels so inhuman, disembodied, disconnected from the real world. Whereas like we're having this conversation and then we're going to go downstairs and maybe get another scone or something and meet somebody face to face. And that encounter is worth more than 1,000 tweets, right? Just being present. We've just put too much time and energy into this. I'm so disheartened when I see people constantly staring at it. Like you said, cyborgs already. We're on it all the time.
So when somebody says to you, think of the good you could still be doing if you hadn't deleted your account,
There's a better. There's a better. It could be good, but it's better to be present. Right here, right now, that's it.
I think another response to that objection is, I'm not obligated to adopt every single social media network out there just because one tweet or post I put on one of these millions of social network feeds could possibly...
No, it's too much.
Yeah.
There's where this is, the image of Martha and Mary and Bethany and Jesus. Like that image of Martha swirling around, doing, and Mary just like this. That is pure gold, right? She is anxious and troubled about many things. Many good things. Could serve the Lord. She's literally serving the Lord, but
literally serving God.
Yeah. Like, stop. This is better. What? Just sitting there doing nothing? Yes. That's much better. It's worth... That's it. That's the pearl of great price. But I know it's really hard because we've been all so cultured to enter this frenetic whirlwind of activity and getting plugged in, and it's insane. It's not healthy. It's not human. We can't slow down anymore. Yeah. Farmer Maggot. Back to Farmer Maggot. Back to the Shire. I got a priest friend, Father Patrick Schultz. He's in Cleveland. He's just awesome. He's like my brother from another mother. Lord of the Rings fan, massive. And he says there's a lot of Shire hatred out there. Shire hatred is the hatred of this soil, this rootedness, this slow process of growth, this sitting here and drinking a beer and smoking a pipe, wasting time. I'm like, the Shire is heaven. And that's what heaven will be. Well, it just seems so rural and so like, no, that's what it's about. By the way, I didn't tell you this yet. I'm building a new course for the Institute, launching next year on the Sacramental stories of J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. It's a 5-day immersion.
Dude.
All Tolkien and C.S. Lewis.
This is your dream job.
It is my dream job. I proposed it last summer to Christopher, and he's like, you've got to do this. And we're going to England on a pilgrimage next spring to the Inklings pub, where they read their stories to each other. We're going to go and visit Oxford. We're just going to spend time in the fields reading. It's going to be Shire love.
Real quick, how do people find out about this? And
yeah, I mean, I teach off of Lewis and Tolkien every time I teach a Theology of the Body course, and every time I mention these two guys, students are like,
I know,
men, women, every age,
everybody.
They like perk up, and some, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, I would say, wouldn't it be cool if I did a course? And they're like, yes. So I proposed it. tobinstitute.org. tobinstitute.org.
Can we put that in the description, Neil?
Yeah. So our course schedule is there. All the stuff that's coming up. So it should be next fall, which, by the way, is Tolkien's 50th anniversary of his death. I didn't know that. But so it'll be a celebration of his life, and then C.S. Lewis. And I can't wait. Because these guys were giants. Millions of people have read their stories, and their stories are all about what we're talking about, like getting rooted again, getting grounded, fellowship, friendship, love of the earth, good pint, all of it. That's what we need. We are like Wordsworth says, we are wasting, spending and wasting our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours, a sordid boon, right? He says, great God, I'd rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn. Like go back to the way it used to be. These machines, this technology is like so inhuman, it's killing us, and we just don't know how to turn it off. Turning it off restores life.
And yet you don't think by being on this podcast you're contributing to the machine?
We're speaking a message into the void for good. We're evangelizing, right? In this, which I think we're all called to do, using this means to the end that is communion. So if you're listening to this conversation right now and you're like, oh man, that is so true. After we're done talking, just like us, turn it off and go spend time with somebody you love, or in a good book, or take a walk. This is a stimulus to get back to communion and real, authentic humanity.
Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll have beer. I'll see if I can make you have a pipe or a cigar.
Sweet. Let's do
and
it.
we'll keep chatting about this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Exodus 90. You've heard of them, haven't you, Neil?
I have.
Well, the guys behind Exodus 90 have started Exodus 21. They're calling it a 21-day restart. So for 21 days, you, along with the friends you invite, pray and read through the first 2 chapters of Corinthians while practicing disciplines such as 20 minutes of prayer every day, abstaining from unnecessary screen time, that doesn't include Pints with Aquinas obviously, abstaining from meat on Fridays, and fasting until 4 p.m. on each weekday. You can take this shorter opportunity to introduce your brothers, cousins, co-workers, fellow parishioners, and even your neighbors. It'd be kind of weird if you didn't know them. Just assume they're Catholic and want to torture themselves for 21 days on how to live like Christ and prepare them for Exodus 90 in January. So check it out. Go to exodus90.com/Matt, exodus90.com/Matt to get started. I did Exodus 90 once and I lived like a boss monster for the first 31 days and then failed miserably. So Exodus 21 sounds super doable.
You would have done great at this, yeah.
I would have crushed it, although probably because 21 days was the goal, I would have like faded out around the 11th day. I don't know. Exodus90.com/Matt. Go check them out to get started. People who have done it just says it really rejuvenates their prayer life and helps them. Exodus90.com/Matt. Link is in the description. Click it and check them out.
And that starts January?
You can start whenever.
Oh.
So Exodus 90 is going to be starting in January. So this 21 day can be like a little test.
I see.
But honestly, for me, I just do the 21 days. So you can do it whenever you want. Go check it out right now, exodus90.com/Matt. It's a great way to grow in friendship, too, with people in your community. Check them out. Also want to say thank you to Hallow. Sorry. Hallow is a really great prayer and meditation app. It is just phenomenal. Whenever I talk about Hallow, I'm always impressed that a Catholic group has been able to create one of the greatest apps in the history and catalog of current apps. It has sleep stories. It allows you to pray the Rosary. It even has Mark Wahlberg praying the Rosary. So you can pray with Mark Wahlberg, which is pretty cool. I just got back from a trip to Africa and I'm really bad at sleeping on airplanes. So I listened to sleep stories and people read the Bible to you and stuff like that. It's really, really good. hallow.com/Matt Fradd. And also, when you sign up on the website, you get 3 months for free. So if you just download the app and sign up that way, you got to start paying monthly. But you can try it for 3 months. That's a long time. And you can see if you like it. And if you don't, you can cancel and you won't be charged a cent. hallow.com/Matt Fradd. Finally, I want to say a massive thanks to everybody who's beginning to support us on Locals. Locals is a free speech platform that will enable me to continue putting out content long after YouTube may choose to ban us or suspend us, as Twitter did recently. So go to mattfradd.com/locals. Right?
Link is in the description.
Link is in the description. And follow us there. We have morning podcasts. You get access to monthly spiritual direction with Father Gregory Pine. We release monthly audio books. For the month of August, we're going to be releasing, what's it called? Teresa of Avila's...
The Interior Castle.
Interior Castle. Yep. We just commissioned a study on the 5 ways of Thomas Aquinas by Dr. Ed Fazer. Hard man to get a hold of, but he has recorded the videos. They're fantastic. So just go support us there. And one more thing that we're doing is we've put together an ink on paper newsletter. It's phenomenal. I'm not joking. Isn't it? You saw it. Are you actually impressed?
No, I really like it.
It would be awkward if you said no.
It's got a crossword too.
It's got a Catholic crossword puzzle and poetry and articles from theologians. And this will, when you get this, for free, by the way, we even pay shipping. So if you live in Namibia or Yemen or Australia, China, wherever, we ship it to you for free whenever these newsletters come out. And you can put your phone in a drawer or set it on fire, sit out on the back porch with a whiskey or coffee and just unplug. And just go to mattfradd.locals.com and join us over there.
And that's not extra. You just sign up for the local support.
Yeah.
And then
so what you got to do is once you sign up as an annual local supporter, that's how you get the thing. You can support us monthly, but if you support us annually, you get access to this newsletter. And we just ask that you put your address in. So once you sign up to Locals, there's something pinned to the top. Click through that, put in your address, and we'll just start sending them to you. Check it out, mattfradd.locals.com. Also, you don't actually have to pay to watch a lot of the content that we put out over on Locals. So download our Locals app. It's on iOS and Android. And start following us over there because it's an amazing community of Catholics all around the world that are supporting each other. It's not just me posting, it's also the supporters posting. I think people will really, really dig it. So mattfradd.locals.com. Check it out. Thank you very much. Final word. it'd be great if you subscribed. It'd be great if you then rang that bell button, because right now we have a 100,000 trophy over here. We're over 250,000, which sounds more than 250,000, which is why I phrase it that way. And once we get 1 million subscribers, they will give us another plaque, at which point I will quit the YouTube channel, sell my house, and go live in the forest somewhere.
And read newspapers, ink on paper newspapers.
Yeah, and just read all of the newspapers that I've put together. Thanks so much. Kangaroo testicles.
Matt, it's just... Speechless.
I had this idea that
and it's
every guest I would pass them testicles, and then I would put a large, like 20-minute collage of just people receiving the testicles and
how
reacting.
yeah, testicles, the face, testicles, the face.
We're recording. So
why am I still holding?
We're actually back.
Okay, we're back.
Right when Matt handed you the kangaroo.
Kangaroo scrotum. Taxidermed.
Intentionally. You did that on purpose.
Well, this is nice.
Wait.
The last time... I haven't had a Guinness in forever. Ready?
No.
And this is in the freezer. You're welcome.
Let's do it.
3, 2,
What if it
1.
explodes?
I did.
Brilliant. Just rub it on my pants.
So you are a stout guy.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about beer.
I don't usually drink Guinness.
Matt, you can't say you are a stout guy, because stout means...
Yeah.
I am a stout.
Now this,
because of the
there's
stout.
your... Do you have a Pints with Aquinas beer stein? Do you want that one?
I do want it. Thank you.
Do you really?
Why is this? Oh my gosh!
Sometimes people give me things and I don't want to take them home.
Oh no, I'll take it. Thank you very much. Look at that. There's chunks of ice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is the coldest Guinness I've ever had. Wow. Do you have a spoon, Neil?
I do not.
I thought it said, do you
I'm
ever
squeezing it out.
spoon Neil?
Oh dear.
Like, no, not unless he asks.
I'm never coming back, man. Never. Never, never.
All right.
Okay, so
what's a good
stout.
toast?
I love stout. Oh yeah, let's do that.
Do you have one?
Well, we'll do the Irish and the Scottish. Sláinte, to your health, and Alba Cubra, Scotland forever.
Oh, really?
That's quite good.
You like it?
Not as much as Murphy's. So here's a story.
Is it more, what's the difference?
There's a little sharpness to the Guinness. Murphy's is a cool, creamy coffee / touch of chocolate. And Murphy's is a Catholic
This has
stout.
a hint of a bitter...
Yeah, there's a little bitterness here. So, I love Guinness, and then we went to Ireland.
This is great.
It is good. Guinness is good. Murphy's is great. No, yeah. Guinness, are you out there? Are you listening? My wife's family's she's got family in Cork and Killarney.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there a couple years after we got married. And we're in one of those classic Irish pubs. And, I enjoyed Guinness very much. And they're like, oh, no. Murphy's Stout. Brewed here in Cork. And I tried it and instantly like, wow, this is a lot better. A lot better. By the way, the pub experience is always so much fun when you're in Ireland, right? First off, you put your pint down. You have like 3 sips. There's a new pint right next to it. Right. As soon as you start to lower it, they're like, there's another one. And at one point, her Uncle Pat, he's like, I know, Bill will sing us a song from Philadelphia. Bill? And I'm just, okay. So
and what did you sing?
I grew up on the Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem. I was sharing with you. I think I sang 4 Green Fields.
Go on.
Which is a great...
Bill will sing us a song.
Bill will sing us a song from Steubenville. Oh, it's a great song, actually. Ireland is like the mother, and she's got 4 sons.
No, if you sing it, it'd be better.
All right, gosh. Geez, on the spot. Let me have another sip. What did I have? Said the proud old woman. What did I have? This proud old woman did say. I had 4 green fields. Each one was a jewel. But strangers came and tried to take them from me. Excuse me. I have fine, strong sons. They fought to save my jewels. My 4th green field will bloom once again, said she.
That's beautiful.
I kind of screwed the lyrics up a little bit.
It was
It's good.
beautiful.
Yeah. I grew up on that stuff. Yeah. I love the Irish Scotch heritage. I love it.
I love that you love it.
I love the stories. I love to sing it. I love to get my African American and Cherokee and Irish and Italian children to sing it with me because it gets in their bones. They just keep spreading it. And it's a love of freedom. It's a love of culture. It's a love of music and pints and whiskey.
We're going to come up with like 10 great folk songs everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
Go. And the band played Waltzing Matilda.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we talked about that. That's a tearjerker. I love, oh my gosh, Mountain Dew. Let grasses grow and waters flow in a free and easy way, but give me enough of that fine old stuff that's brewed near Galway Bay. And policemen all from Donegal, Sligo and Leitrim too. They'll give you the slip when you take a sip of the pure old Mountain Dew.
There you go. Is that where Mountain Dew comes from? Because that's all I thought of was that terrible, terrible drink.
Yeah, it is terrible. That was my favorite drink when I was a teenager.
Was it?
The most caffeinated soda is Mountain Dew.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not anymore, though. Surely it's Monster or Red Bull or...
Well, that's not caffeine.
Oh, it's not?
That's taurine, I think.
I think they have
Some
caffeine
weird...
too, most of them. They just have all kinds of stuff in them now.
This is great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, true confessions. Neil, I smoked half a cigar with Matt the other day and became ill.
Did you
I'm
remember
a pipe smoking man. I can't... Yeah, I did. I got nauseous. I can do half a cigar. So I have this little baby cigar.
I like the idea of pipes more than cigars, but I like cigars more than pipes.
Well, you instantly get the pleasure. Yeah, the pipe is a slower draw, but it's more contemplative.
It is.
It's to hold it, the ritual of it. I just love it. Yeah.
I agree. The ritual is nice. I'd like to get back into it, but it's kind of like it's like if you drank drip coffee and then you got into espresso, really good espresso, and then you try to go back to drip coffee. That's what it's like.
Right. Yeah.
And you can go back to it, and then you can appreciate what it is, but it's a hard transition back because I appreciate
Yeah, and honestly, every time you smoke a cigar, you get the instant pleasure of smoking a cigar. Pipes...
In what way?
Well, there's just an immediate
Your mouth
taste,
is directly
flavor.
on the leaf, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. With a pipe, you can have a really bad smoke. You can have, you're drawn too fast, it's too ashy, the bowl gets too hot. But I kind of like that because it's, that was a good smoke. Yeah, that was a good smoke.
Yeah, I started smoking pipes in Ireland.
So did my dad.
I don't know why. Probably because all the old fellas were doing it. And there's a great Peterson's pipe shop down in Dublin.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, Peterson is the best pipe maker.
Yeah.
I have 3
I think you do have the system where you have the hole that hits the roof of the mouth and disperses the smoke as opposed to directly on the tongue. And there's also like a second chamber in there such that the smoke goes up, has to go back down and come back up to cool the smoke down. That's what you have. I forget. That's the...
Yeah. The big pipe that I had that you liked is a Peterson.
It's a really nice
and I have a nice Gandalf church warden Peterson.
Do I have mine here? I don't know.
It's great. Yeah. Well, again, back to our boys, right? The lads, Tolkien and Lewis, pints and pipes. When they met in the pub, the Eagle and the Child pub, which again, we're going next spring on a pilgrimage there.
You mentioned how you can get to the courses, but do you have a direct link for this pilgrimage?
No. We're still building that out. So that'll be announced at the website eventually. But the guys, the Inklings were a group of, literary men, mostly, if not all, Christian. Tolkien, of course, Catholic, and a couple of others, but it would be the pints and the pipes, and that's where they started reading their stories. That's where Tolkien would read The Hobbit before it was published. Lewis would read snippets from the Space Trilogy before it was published. Lord of the Rings before it was published. Can you imagine? And they were encouraging each other. In fact, Tolkien never would have published Lord of the Rings without Lewis's constant...
No way.
Yeah. And the first reviewer of Lord of the Rings was C.S. Lewis. He wrote the first review. And the Space Trilogy, the first book, was rejected by a publisher from C.S. Lewis was rejected out of the Silent Planet. Tolkien wrote a personal letter to that publisher and said, "This is good. Please publish it." And he did.
You are kidding.
So again, if these guys weren't encouraging each other in that friendship, we wouldn't have these amazing... It's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, and that just goes back to the whole idea of fellowship, building each other up.
See, this brewery that we're building across the road, I would like there to be a section where only men can enter.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. So Leah Thomas can come, for example. But then we can...
And there goes the YouTube channel.
And we can just read poetry, read books together. Like a man stand up.
It's a re-Inklings. That doesn't sound right, though, but... Yeah, it's an Inklings all over again. Let's do it.
Have you've been to this pub?
Not yet.
Okay.
This will be I've been to England, but not to the
Now,
these
I mean, how famous is it?
Oh yeah, it's famous. You've got to carve out time. And I think they just renovated it without changing it. No, it's very. In fact, my buddy I just mentioned, Father Patrick, a week ago he was there. So people go there, they carve out a little time, stuff's on the wall, but they try to keep it as old school as it was.
Good, yeah.
And they would meet there.
It is always packed with people, though.
I don't know how packed, but
sometimes you go to these
movement.
places and they're like huge in your mind but to the people who live near there, it's just.
No, it's a little spot. I think just outside of Oxford.
I got to show you something before you leave. Sorry to cut you off. My mate Jacob Imam, he came into the church a few years back. His godfather was C.S. Lewis's secretary for a while.
Oh my God.
He's got some great stories.
Wow.
And Jacob here in Steubenville has C.S. Lewis's copy of Dante's Inferno, and it's all.
No.
Yeah,
I would love
go
to see that. I would love it. Oh my gosh.
You keep talking so I can text him.
It's funny because Dante's Divine Comedy, if you know that well, then you'll get the Space Trilogy. Because he does similar parallels, even in the fact that Ransom's character, you meet him sort of in the mid part of his life and he's kind of on a path, just like the Divine Comedy. Yeah. But it's going to be a small little pub. It's tiny, and that's how it was. And they went every Thursday for years and years and years. And that's where they just had fellowship. They read their stories. They had their little debates. Tuesdays, I think it was Tuesdays, they would meet at Lewis's chambers at Magdalen College, and they would have pints and just chat up there and read stories. Sometimes till 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning. And this is where like all this stuff got chiseled out and worked out, all these great works. So,
have you ever tried to write fiction?
When I was young.
I won't make you read it.
No. When I was young, but no, I haven't. I get ideas sometimes. I have a really bold idea.
I'm this close to buying a typewriter for August.
Oh my gosh. That would be awesome. Not an electric typewriter. Old school. Well, I have a crazy idea, and it's kind of bold and sassy, but, Screw Tape Letters was Lewis's work where a devil is teaching another devil. Imagine writing it from an angel's point of view. Like how the angels inspire us and in what ways they kind of infiltrate and get into us to try to lift us up. But then I feel like
Kreeft needs to write that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have the.
See, you could maybe, but I don't know what you are like as a writer. If I did it would be terrible.
And Kreeft would let you know.
Well, that's what's always... Kreeft would let me know. I was telling you yesterday. Yes. Have I told this story 1,000 times, have I?
Just a couple. You can tell.
Just a couple. Kreeft wrote a rebuke of one of my... I sent him a manuscript, and I said, would you mind endorsing this? I thought that's all you did. Did you mind endorsing this? Yeah, no. He wrote back and went, this is really bad.
Are those the exact words?
No, he
this
said...
isn't well written, or...
It was something like that. He said it was on Boston University. Is it Boston University? Yeah.
That's his address is there.
He said, I was surprised because I've heard you speak on other topics and found you to be
it's getting worse.
Quite good, but this was really quite poorly written and some obvious mistakes, philosophical mistakes were made.
And that's what they put on the back of the book.
You know what?
They should have.
That
would be brilliant.
I wish I still had that. Maybe I could write something crap and send it to him.
Wait, he emailed or sent a letter?
No, he sent a letter.
And you don't have it?
I don't. I think I do have another one of his letters.
If he used a napkin, I would keep the napkin. I love Peter Kreeft. I've been reading Peter Kreeft since I was 16 years old. He's one of these, like a Lewis or a Tolkien or a Fulton Sheen or a JP2. Kreeft is... I met him when I was 21 or 22. I was discerning the priesthood, and I was at a seminary in Boston, and he was teaching a course. And I was just like, oh. And they had a little break, and they played ping pong. Seminarians, me visiting Peter Kreeft. He was like schooling them. And he would, you put the English on it, and a little ping pong ball goes. He was putting like Japanese or Swahili. It was just like, what the? And then years later, of course, he taught for the Theology of the Body Institute. He taught our Philosophy of JP2 course.
Which I'm sure sold out in 2 minutes.
5 minutes. It was like U2 tickets, right?
Oh, really?
Or insert band of your choice. But when he came, so we had 120, we maxed out on our students. And Peter Kreeft was probably 74 or 5 at the time. And I love telling the story because he would teach 3 hours of lecture in the morning, philosophy. Quick lunch, play ping pong, destroy everyone, including like 19-year-old scrappers. then go to chess, 3 chessboards, simultaneously playing 3 people, destroy them all, go teach 3 more hours of philosophy.
Are you good at chess, Neil?
I'm pretty good at chess, yeah.
Would you play him live?
Yeah.
Because I mean, not him, Peter Kreeft, when he comes in September.
You'll beat
because
me
he's
in
coming
5
in. See, I don't have the humility to play him because I know I would just be trounced. And I'll be like, what's this thing called again? That'd be cool.
Can you imagine though at 76?
Start practicing now.
Yeah, cheat if you have
The problem is he's 86. So if you beat him, everyone's like, but dude, he's 86. And if he beats you, it's like, dude, he's 86 and he beat you. Like, you can't win.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose. But I just love him. I've always loved him. He's just, I hope I have that, just that
you will.
magnanimity. Like,
you absolutely,
star.
I promise you will.
Thanks. But it was just awesome. One person beat him one time in ping pong.
That was you, baby.
Yeah. And I played him 10 times.
And did you have to try to calm down? In your face!
Old man!
I'm sorry.
I put the paddle down and I walked away. I'm done now. But it took 10 games to beat him, but I was the only one. I was so happy. And I got to drive him to the airport and we talked about surfing and Lord of the Rings.
I love him.
And the culture, and he's such a dry sense of humor too.
When you first meet him, he's an odd guy. And the oddity really puts you off.
Awkward, yeah.
Like, I'm like, do you not want to be here? Do you not? Because if you don't, you didn't have to come. I feel like maybe I'm imposing, but that's not it at all.
No.
He's just himself. And 86, he doesn't really care what you think.
No, and he's not in a rush.
Definitely not a rush.
So he's not, there's no like gaps where he's just, this is kind of weird. He's just.
Last time he was here, he was drinking scotch. And the only beer I had was like a peanut butter stout, and he mocked me. He's like, I'm not drinking peanut butter stout. Sorry. The best line in our last interview was when I was like, what's your favorite movie? And he's like, well, what's yours? And I went, Dumb and Dumber?
No, you didn't.
I did. I said Dumb and Dumber. I don't even mean it. And then he said A Man for All Seasons. I went, yeah, no, that one. Because I said Dumb and Dumber. And he went, well, that is dumb. Oh.
Whenever somebody asks me my favorite movie, I just instantly, I can't do it because there's a flood of great films.
What's your favorite movie?
Bump, Set, Spike. Yeah, I don't know. There's just too many.
What did I watched The Short, is that what it's called? About the housing market crash. It's very good.
I would probably never watch that, to be honest.
Beg your pardon?
Isn't it The Big?
That's right.
The Big Short, yeah.
The Big Short. I think that's what it's called.
I don't think I'd be interested in that. Sorry.
Have you watched Stranger Things 4 yet?
I've watched some of it.
Any good?
I thought it was kind of boring. But
I hear it's kind of horrific. Like
we went a couple episodes in and it got so demonic, creepy that we just stopped. Yeah, we've enjoyed. I mean, they're all kind of dark, obviously, but it got a little too dark and we just stopped. I don't want that stuff in my. I'm not a big horror film fan.
Yeah,
it's just the '80s vibe of Stranger Things is brilliant.
Yeah.
Again, previously we talking about it, just seeing a bunch of kids not holding smartphones, like at a community pool or playing Dungeons and Dragons, like it just takes you back. You're like, man, that was great. You just like ride your bike, like I'm going to Jimmy's, I'm gonna ride my bike. Takes 15 minutes to get there. See you at dinner. I mean, my childhood, the 80s was I feel like it was the last great childhood too. The Atari 2600 debuted when I was like 13. Video games, right? Space Invaders, Pac-Man, all that stuff. And it was kind of novel and cool. We would play for an hour and they were like, let's go play baseball or let's go for a bike ride. Yeah, golden age of just, you'd be gone for 6-7 hours. I don't even know if we ate food. We'd just be riding bikes, climbing trees. And I think that's really getting to become a lost art. I'm not supposed to knock this.
Yeah, you can go for it. Yeah, I grew up in a small country town in South Australia and was similar. Rode my bike until dark and then had to be home. But some of my best memories were playing video games with friends. And I know that sounds bad.
Well, it's different then.
But it was actually... Was it?
Yeah, no. Today, it's such an individual thing. I mean, unless you got your headset on and you're kind of disembodied connecting with... But then it was sort of like, it's me versus you and we're doing this together. I think. Anyway,
yeah, no, it was. I was sitting in the same room playing with people. And I remember when I first learned that Xbox and these other things no longer had the functionality to play multiple games, like split screen on one.
Right. It wasn't competitive in that sense anymore.
But then you would play it with your friend down the road.
Right. Which again, it's kind of weird. It's different. and almost never ending. I mean, the whole Fortnite thing, I think, is tragic.
Why?
Well, my son's got a friend who he was probably 11 or 12 when he got it, and we didn't see him for 3 months. He's on it constantly. There's no end in sight, so to speak, with a game like that. It just keeps going and going and going.
I see what you mean.
It's like when you're at a casino and there's no windows, there's no clocks on the walls.
Yeah.
It's just keep going. And I don't think that's good.
That was interesting what Neil said earlier about books being technology.
Yeah. There's a really funny YouTube video about, it's a monk and he's got like they're moving from scrolls to books. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
And it's hilarious. And he calls for tech help because the book, he lost his place and he's like, I don't know how to, because he's used to the scroll, right? So the tech goes, just lift the cover and there's your content. It's like, oh, okay, great. And then he's like, and if you want new content, you want to turn the page. And then he turns, he's wait, I just, something's wrong. I've lost everything. I've lost it all. You just turn the page back again. Oh, okay, all right, okay, great. It's really funny.
Yeah. Difference between a book and a phone, though, is you act on the book and the phone acts on you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the phone has, it's like there's little rabbit holes everywhere, pop-ups.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down there.
What's interesting is that even though electronic music, if you want to put it that way, so not on a physical object that you're inserting into something, like a record or a CD or a tape, whereas like Spotify, electronic music has taken off, ebooks really haven't in the same way. Like you don't see people with CDs, but you might. And obviously people like the nostalgia of records.
That's coming back.
But there are people like books. Like people still buy paper books more than they buy electronic books. That is true. Probably. That's probably true. Let's just go with it. Why is that?
I think, again, incarnational. And and it's touchable, tangible, and I can stay in it.
But why? I mean, you can do that with an ebook, can't you? It's touchable, readable. Take it with you where you go. I'm just trying to figure out, why did ebooks not take off in the same way that, say, Spotify
that's a very
took
good
off?
Question.
Because they have similar advantages.
Well, the input
you
to
can
your
have a
senses
billion
is
songs on Spotify, on your Spotify playlist. You can have a billion books on this little glowing rectangle that you carry with you.
It must be the sensory. It must be the input. You know, the ear different from the eye, the way you consume.
Yeah,
music is it's the soundtrack.
That's a good point.
You're kind of moving through your life, and it's the soundtrack of your life.
I'm trying to look up a chart or something. What I found so far is the audiobook industry was
not audiobook though, right? I'm not talking about audio. I'm not talking about audiobooks. I'm talking about ebooks. Like, you know, like you read on a Kindle.
Oh, I see.
Where you're flipping.
Like,
through
do you ever read a book on a Kindle?
I.
And do you find that preferable to holding a paper book?
I don't think there's pluses and minuses. It's like the plus is you can kind of hold it above your head if you're lying on your back. It's much easier to read an ebook. You can read it in the dark.
You can read it any time of day.
They have these nice ones.
It's harder to carry the Summa with you when you fly.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely advantages.
Harder to carry a whole library with you.
And yet,
there's some people who have like ebooks and carry their whole library in their ebook and have their like paper
but not
reader.
many, right? Like
not many, but I respect the people who do, because it seems very practical. And
I'm not knocking them. I'm just wondering why it hasn't taken off in the same way that music on your iPhone has replaced CDs. Like, why is it that people are buying paper books when you could just... Like, I subscribed to some comic book back when I was into comic books until they all became gay. And you can pay like $10 a month and get unlimited. I think it was DC, Marvel, everything. But I wanted a comic book. I wanted and I think a lot of people are like that. And I'm not knocking it. Let's say they're both the same. I'm just wondering why.
I think it's just the simplicity of it and the touchableness of it.
That's true. You don't touch music in the way you touch a book.
And you can.
You don't touch a CD player in the way that you open and close a book.
And I've got hundreds of Kindle versions of books that I actually have. Many of them I have the actual hard copy as well.
Yeah.
But the reason I get the Kindle is so I can research.
Yeah,
which is brilliant, you know?
Yep.
I'm doing this course next week on the writings of John Paul II on gender, marriage, and family. I go into Theology of the Body, the actual book, the Kindle book, to do a search. Gender. By the way, comes up 0 times.
Nice.
Put in sex, 340 times, whatever it is. So interesting. So I for like research purposes and stuff like that, but when I get a book to read, I want to feel the book.
I think the reason is if you think about how most people read is it's kind of a project they're starting, right? So I think that it's rather than investing in like the general idea of I'm going to read 1 million books, and so this is the most efficient way to actually read and to carry everything around with me. They're like, I'm going to read the Brothers K, so I should buy the Brothers K and carry that around with me. That'll get me to read it. It can be my little book that I read because it's a whole project.
I can underline it, which is far more natural than trying to do it on a screen.
Right. Well, I really like just writing in like the margins or something. If I have like a thought.
But they try to replicate that on ebooks, right? You can write little notes, and you're like, and then it'll go across all your devices. You're like, I don't care.
But that'd be my guess. Is it seems to me that people buy books most often one at a time as like their kind of life project for the next like
that's a good
2 or 3 weeks. And I think that the physical book that you can carry around is kind of selling that where the ebook isn't. Because you have to spend a lot more, and you only are going to get one book to start out with. You see what I'm saying?
I think so.
I like the word naturalness also. There's a naturalness to it.
I bought a record player last year before my August because I didn't have my phone. And I really enjoyed it. And I don't care how hipster that sounds.
I'm not judging.
I like tending to the music. I like having to put this thing on and having to be there for when it clicked off and I would turn it over or go back to the start.
Yeah. I love it. I love it because again, this is human process.
Kind of, but then to Neil's point, like records did replace, like if we didn't have records, maybe people would sit around and play music.
Actual music. Oh yeah. Well, that's always the preferred. Yeah. I wonder if it's Kreeft who actually talked about this, and he wrote a book on the philosophy of Tolkien. Did you ever read Peter Kreeft's book on the philosophy of Tolkien? Wow.
Is it good?
Super good. Yeah. I mean, he gets into under the hood, but it's really good. But he talks about, there's kind of the Song of Songs that kind of drops down into poetry, and poetry drops down into prose, and prose is kind of dropped down into like texting LOL. Like that's the way
even to the point now where people don't use capital letters and periods.
No, and he actually talks about that. Like we decapitate, which means cut the head off. So, and I'm a teacher, and how many papers and stuff I've graded where it's just there's a loss of even periods, capital letters.
I want to be a university professor just so I can give everybody an F.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Get the red pen out, tear it up.
I'd be no better than them. That's the sad truth. But I'd pretend I was.
Back to Tolkien, capital letters everywhere. Right? When you read, you see a word that has a capital letter, which seemingly like, why would that have a capital letter? It just instantly elevates you. It's like, whoa, that's important. That's big. But yeah, to this point, like we just decapitate everything.
It reminds me of why when Mother Teresa would write Blessed Sacrament or Blessed Virgin Mary, or she'd always, or him talking about our Lord, she would always capitalize those things.
Yeah.
So, what would you do if you had the courage to do it and the means to do it regarding stripping yourself from modern technology? Because you just, before we went live, you were speaking about that Spanish priest. What did he say?
Yeah, I was doing a course a couple weeks ago in Madrid in this beautiful location on top of this mountain. It was glorious. If you look up largest cross in the world, that's where we were. Literally. It's a Benedictine monastery on top of this mountain. And I'm talking about the way of beauty, the way of wonder, this idea of slowing down and drinking in the gifts that surround us. And he said, you're telling all this, Bill, but I notice you keep looking at your watch.
Say it again. I'm afraid we won't hear.
Okay, he says, I'm talking about slowing down, getting rid of the Martha complex of frenetic activity and just be like Mary and be. He says, Bill, I'm sorry to critique you, Bill, but I notice you're telling these things about slowing down, but you keep looking at your watch.
Why does he sound like Nacho Libre?
I don't know. I thought it was Inigo Montoya.
Did he say
but I took the watch off and just...
Did he say this in front of everybody?
He kind of drew me in. I know. But I actually, afterwards... Then we had a break, and he told me
why when I pointed at your watch, you like threw it away?
Oh yeah, I got rid of it. Look,
you're still wounded from the.
No, he did it during a break. When we came back, though, I said, Padre just called me out, and for good reason.
What would you do if you had the courage to do it?
I would go cold turkey.
What does that mean?
I would get rid of the smartphone. I would. I feel better without it. I mean, I get now the need. Well, again, need. We survived in the 80s. We didn't have to,
but
checking in.
But see, society moves on.
Yes.
And you are actually required to use it. That's what happens as technology advances.
But who's requiring it?
like a restaurant that says you have to scan the QR code because they no longer have paper
I see what you
menus.
mean. Yeah.
Like things move on and then you screw it.
Yeah.
And then you can either just not go along with...
It's annoying. Yeah, so you have to...
No, you don't.
Well, I mean, if you want to eat at a restaurant. So just don't eat at the restaurant. So if you get rid of the smartphone, you get rid of other things.
I had Mark Barnes on the show last year. He's got this great line. He said, "A man with a car in a world made for feet is a god." And then he said, "And a man with a car in a world made for cars is in traffic." Isn't that
good.
great?
That's really good.
So as things kind of quote unquote advance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So you get rid of your smartphone. You can do that. That's not that hard. Get a Wise phone or a Gab phone.
Right. Yes. I know. I think I'm going to have to look into that.
I'm not shaming you. I'm just,
no,
since
no.
you want to do it, I'm just helping you.
Here we're stepping into some interesting places because we're both married. We both have wives. And we parent differently as men and women, right? News alert here, men and women are different. So I don't need to check in so much on the kids. Like I like to give them freedom, just have a general sense. But for good reason, my wife would be a little bit more plugged in. Like, do you know, where are they? I get that. So I think for that reason, I couldn't get rid of it entirely, though I would want to. So there it is.
I was just
how would Cameron react to like the inability to connect or
my love
keep
rolls
tabs?
with the punches. I just do what I want to do, and her life just gets busier. Because I'm like, just text Cameron if you need me.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just the whole helicopter parenting thing, and I know I'm guilty of it too, but I don't want to do it. I want more freedom. When I think about my childhood, my parents were divorced when I was 15.
I'm sorry.
And well, it's amazing how you look back and you're like, I wouldn't change it now. I understood with that, that brokenness and that wound has actually turned into grace in all these other places. So you can't, like, I wouldn't want to force anything back then. But all kinds of freedoms, which sometimes led to dangers, but just felt more free, human, alive. And you're in trouble, you find a way, or someone's there, and generally speaking, but just this, we're in a bubble. You can see everything and constantly aware of everything. We can do the location thingy and just, you see exactly where you are and you'll be home in 13 minutes. It's nice to be off the radar sometimes, or under the radar, or whatever it might be.
It almost feels like once you start pulling at the thread of technology, you either go all out Amish or you offer up the cross of having a phone. Because I was in Kansas recently and went to a fella's house, and they have no electricity in their house on purpose. And they don't even have plumbing. It was an awesome house that this fella made with his sons.
Wow.
Really normal, handsome, strapping father. And
how old?
How old's the fella?
Yeah.
Probably in his mid-40s.
Wow.
So they've got their like oil lanterns on the wall. They have a sawdust toilet. So after you do your business, you put sawdust, and then he empties it every day.
Wow. And you spent a couple nights there?
Nope, I spent about 2 hours there.
Drove you crazy and you left.
No clocks on the walls. But it feels like once you start pulling at the thread, where do you stop? Like, when I came back from my last August, I was seriously considering getting rid of email.
Now that feels, back to your restaurant thing, it feels like that's a necessity. Email. I'm really poor at responding to it, by the way. I think I have 2,400 and something emails right now.
That's amazing.
Let's check. Should we check how many emails we have? It's really bad. Public apology to everyone who's emailed me in the last week or so.
I can't tell. Tons.
I have 2,499 emails.
Do you actually go through them all, though?
Eventually. But there's just, that's a necessary thing, right?
I don't know.
But I don't like the pressure that you have to always be on. Like when they pop up at 9:30 at night, or we shouldn't, there used to be the sort of 9 to 5 and now this is my time to just be, or be family, or do something else. And there's too much pressure. It's like always on. Imagine having your eyes always open, never blinking. That would kill you. Back to
I
the
have
Shire.
friends who don't text me back when I text them, and I am annoyed, but I'm grateful for them, you know? And it's so insidious now that they have this component on the phone where it says delivered or seen
Yes.
or read.
You can turn that off.
You can turn it off, and I have.
You should.
But
yeah. See, again, it's like it's too much. It's too much. There's not enough time to breathe and just be and not have this pressure. We've created all of it. We've created these monsters, these Frankenstein monsters that are now ruling our lives, and we feel like we just can't turn it off or live without it. And none of it will exist after death. Like literally none of the machinery that we've created will exist after death. So it's causing all of this anxiety and pressure, and we don't really need it. And it won't go on into the next world. That's why I feel like I'm, when I teach, the pedagogy is this idea of stirring wonder, which is this sort of unplugged, face-to-face contact with the real in real time. And it's so hard for me, I feel like I'm teaching it because I need to hear it. But for everybody, it takes a couple days in a course to get to it's like detox. Because I feel like, but I have to, but they're expecting it and I should. My dad always says, we always say, I should. My dad says, don't should all over yourself, kiddo.
that's good.
That's for you, Dad. But again, man-made. There's no need.
What does wonder mean?
Ooh, let's go. I think wonder is the human reception of God's beauty. God is beauty, capital B, comes to us in many beautiful things, sort of diluted or mediated through beautiful things. Wonder is our receptivity to it, and it causes us to like pause, breathe, like, whoa. And it comes in so many glorious ways, like millions of ways. So I think wonder is a response to the beautiful. It's like awe, awe, being awestruck. It's just, wonder is like being pierced. Benedict talks about this. Beauty is like pierces our hearts, opening us up and then giving us wings. I mean, when you encounter beauty in creation, music, poetry, a good pint, whatever it is, it's just this pause of, yes, this is good. It is good to be here. That's wonder,
And you think that phones get in the way of us?
They can. There was a really weird Microsoft Windows commercial years ago. It's so weird. Some of these commercials like kill themselves in the end. Like the punchline is like, that's, and it was, there's a kid wakes up in the morning, he looks out his window and there's like snowfall and he's like, wow. There's a woman jogging down the street early morning and there's a deer pausing a minute and she's like, wow. And something else, the guy's, wow. And then it closes with the laptop opening up Windows 95. Wow. It's like, that's not wow. That's work. Like, that's not wow. It's goofy, right? It's goofy. Like the real, the deer, the hummingbird flight, which is insane. The colors of a sunset that are literally different every time, every single time. Cloud from every single bit of weather is different. It's never been done before. That's the wow. And just like get into that. That's the spirituality of wonder. That's the way of wonder. The fruits slows me down, right? Decreases my anxiety, gets me a little bit more rooted in the real. I'm aware of my own senses. And it's just healthy spiritually, physically. But we're just not doing it. We're just like, well, that's I already saw a sunset when I was little. No, you didn't see this one.
That's another point Mark Barnes brings up about, we talk about space travel and how incredible that must be. And he's like, don't forget, we have blinds on windows, on airplane windows. Like, who now gets into a plane, opens it up and just stares out through it?
Oh my gosh.
If we had space travel, it would be the same thing.
It's terrible. A friend of mine was just talking about, she was flying back to Florida after one of our courses, and we were kind of talking about this whole idea of opening up to the wonder, and you just see parents now, kids get on airplanes, here's your iPad, here's your headphones, shut the window. And like, what a robbing that is of that child, of the experience of flight, right? Like I remember my first flight, you're feeling the rumble. You're looking at the wing flaps, like, oh my gosh, and you're begging for the window seat, and you're looking at it, and then you're feeling your stomach drop out. But it's just like, here, put on your headphones, and here's your iPad, and 2 hours later, where are we? Oh, we're in Utah. I mean, that's criminal, I think.
This is getting to be a really depressing episode, but I appreciate it because things are depressing.
But they can be rekindled. Wonder can be rekindled.
How?
Get dirty. Get into the Shire. Get your hands dirty. Your son Peter, right? My kids, they've been climbing tree. We're at the family land. Kiara and Claire the other night were up in that tree, like 15 feet up, sitting in that tree during the family rosary, right? Peter, he's got mud all over his face, whatever that was. Kid's barefoot, looking like Frodo Baggins. He's all over the Shire.
Peter said to me the other day, for those at home, he went, Dad, did you know you can cut your tongue with a single leaf? I just did it. Isn't that
so cool? No, let's.
And then yesterday I was like, okay, buddy, we need to have a shower because he was just caked with mud and dirt.
Yeah,
and
it's like furniture when you go like that and you get like it's on his skin.
Exactly. But he's usually in the shower or the bath for like 10 seconds and then he's out.
Oh, yeah.
So I put him in the shower and got him all ready and I was doing some other things. And he's been in there for quite a while. Dad, can you bring me a bottle of water? Sure. So I bring him a bottle of water.
In the shower.
10 minutes go by. He's like, Dad, he's been standing under the water like this until the bottle filled all the way up from the water from the shower head. I did it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my
gosh. It was perfect. It was the best thing he could have done.
It's his way.
And he's always spotting birds and injured animals all the time. And I'm like, how do you see all these things?
Because his eyes are open.
His eyes are open.
That's it. Yeah. So let's get away from the depressing and into the impressing. Impress yourself or let yourself be pressed in by the real. I mean, as much as I try to teach this stuff, I try to live it and I do it myself. If I'm driving to work and something arrests me, early October mist is amazing. Mm-hmm. Spider webs with those little diamond jewels of dewdrops on them intoxicate me. I get into it. I'll be late for work. Whatever. Let's go. Get the shoes dirty. Getting my kids outside, exploring everything. Like picking up stuff. What the heck is this? And I'm generally awestruck by it, but I want them to just. I'm not forcing it. I'm just like I'm trying to lead by the wow, like being impressed by it and how different everything is and gratuitous. Like there's just gratuitous beauty everywhere. It's insane. And it can be in a square yard, patch of earth. You can spend like an hour looking at 3x3 of earth. If you're still, you'll see stuff coming out. You'll see different kinds of shades and colors and textures, and it'll just, this is all God made. This is man made. Everything out there is God made. Like, just think that came from the mind of God. I was outside with my kid. This was a few years ago. This wacky looking bug, about that big, looked like a dinosaur, ridged back, like spikes coming out of it. Crazy, right? It's crawling along the porch, and we both get down. This was Seth. He was probably 6, and we're just like down, like this close, staring at him. I'm like, what the heck is that? That's so cool, Dad. Afterwards, I try to identify the bug, and I look it up. It's called an assassin bug. This guy on the internet's like, I'd rather be shot by a gun than bitten by that bug again. Hurt for 3 months. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm like this close to my kid. So, be cautious, but explore. And here's the thing with wonder. It gets you into the awe instead of the ew. Right? What do we do when we're out in nature now? Ew. People have a bug on their arm. Ew. And we freak out. You're like 3 million times bigger than this bug. Unless it's an assassin bug. But we have to move away from the ew, dirt, ew, to awe. We have lost that. Like, we've lost it. The medievals, the ancients, they had they were starstruck literally by everything. And we're just like, oh, this is nice.
What if the only way to get from the ooh to the awe is to really radically cut these things off?
I know.
Because in order to immerse, you have to cut yourself off from some of these things which prevent you from seeing it.
You do.
So
I mean, we got to start being more intentional. I do, and I know with your this August month is awesome. I mean, I've done this with the kids. I mean, even this week we're getting very unplugged with what our families are both doing together out here outside of Steubenville. I took my son to Arcathios a couple years ago. We talked about Arcathios, man, Alberta, Western Canada. A full week of complete immersion, no clocks, no gadgets, nothing. And after a day or so of this detox, you just start smelling like you're outside. You get so entrenched in it. It just feels right and good. And you start changing. It's a real gift, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard. We want to stay clean. Everything is smooth today. I'm just reading this is funny. I don't know if you heard of this guy. His name is, oh my gosh, it's a tricky name. Blong Chun Yen or something. He's a Korean-born Swiss-German philosopher. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, he's going into this whole thing about the philosophy of the smooth, like the aesthetic of this. Everything is smooth today, he says. The iPhone is smooth. Our cars are smooth. There's no friction. There's no resistance. There's no negativity. It's all nice and smooth. He's like, this isn't good. We need like the rugged, the jagged, the negative, so to speak, the messy, because that's the world God made. Like if you look at creation, it's chaotic and crazy. It's got its rhythms and its beauties to it, but it's also nuts. Assassin bugs, right? Like crazy stuff. And I always tell people when I'm teaching through this way of beauty, way of wonder, watch the Discovery Channel. It's crazy town out there. And better yet, like go into it and explore it and pick it up. And remember the God you're worshiping in the Blessed Sacrament in the tabernacle is the God that made that.
We thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. Like what is it called? The panther chameleon of Madagascar? That thing is nuts.
What is it?
It's a crazy looking creature with every color in the book and the eyes all over the place. And it's like God made this. Yeah. I forget what it's called. The MOBA ray. It's like 6 foot, 7 foot wingspan on these rays. To attract a mate, they leap out of the ocean like 12 feet high and belly flop. Bam!
That'll do it for me.
I think, yeah. Hey, baby, come on over. And you're like, wow, God made that. Through the word, all things were made. That's crazy. Just bring the, whatever that mobile ray is called, into your holy hour. Right? Like bring the ring-tailed lemur into your holy hour. I think that would be so cool to juxtapose our prayer and our ritual and liturgy, which is so beautiful, with images of this wild, chaotic world God made. Like it just shifts your perspective of God, the kind of God that we love. It's God of wonder, right? God of wonders.
Byung-Chul Han.
Thank you, Byung-Chul Han.
Is he
a
Christian?
Korean-born German-Swiss philosopher. He's awesome.
Is he a Christian?
I think he might be. Can I read a quote from him?
Sure.
Stand by. Standing by. You're going to love this. Okay. Byung-Chul Han. He said, he's actually going to rock the smartphone world, the stuff that we've been talking about. Stand by, standing by. Okay. Okay, I got it. Being the cult objects of our digitally driven lives, smartphones, Exhibit A, work like a rosary and its beads. Our fingers relentlessly scrolling down or swiping right and left. A pattern religiously repeated, as if trading one habit for another, going from inward reflection, the rosary, to outward voyeurism. Then he says, the main difference, we don't use smartphones to ask for graces or forgiveness, but to call for attention instead. The rosary, he's got to be Catholic. The rosary is a contemplative, inward-oriented prayer. The kind of narcissistic exhibitionism, voyeurism that abounds on social media runs in an entirely opposite direction. Oh my gosh. Can I keep going with this guy? You're going to love this guy. He says, when we're depressed, we lose our relationship with the world, with the other. We sink into our scattered ego. He says, digitalization of the smartphone makes us depressed. This is a killer. Back to like growing up in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s. As a child, I remember holding my mother's hand at the dentist office. Today, the mother will not offer the hand to a child, but a cell phone. Support does not come from others, but from oneself. Oof, that makes us sick. We have to recover the other person.
This guy sounds like an articulate me.
He does.
I'm on the show. He's still alive.
Rant incoherently.
he is.
Where does he live?
He lives
Berlin?
in Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah, he teaches philosophy in Berlin. Yeah.
Can you see if you can contact him somehow, like on his website?
Yeah, he would be epic. Yeah, I think he's probably in his late 40s, maybe.
He's 63.
There's a great
Wouldn't it be
image
sweet
of him.
if he had to take a boat because he was against airplanes?
No, he's really good. He says, Can I do one more bit from...
I want you to not stop reading.
Byung-Chul Han. We need information to be silenced. This is for you coming up. This is August coming up. Otherwise, our brains will explode. Think about the amount of content that comes into it's too much. It's not human. It doesn't come to us in a human way. Even like a book or a newspaper would come to us. We're in control. This is just like, he says, today we perceive the world through information. That's how we lose the experience of being present. We're increasingly disconnected from the world. We're losing the world. The world's more than information. The screen is a poor representative of the world. The smartphone contributes decisively to this poor perception of the world. A fundamental symptom of depression is absence of the world. Absence of the world. And the thing is, like, you can remedy that like right away. I try to tell people, like, get up in the morning, go outside, drop to your knees, say a prayer, and get outside. Rain, snow, what is it like out there? What does it feel like and smell like? Take a deep breath and then make your coffee. And then go back out. Because we just don't. You can be glued to that sucker and be passing through all manner of diversity and stuff, but you're suckled by a phone. Like, we're nursed by it. And someone else is in control of it all, really, just pumped in. Like, just, it's almost like the Matrix, right? It's like, cut that umbilical cord, cut the cord and live. And it's going to be hard when you cut the cord, but it's more human.
Yeah, it's a transition for a baby to be cut from its mother.
Right.
And then it has to exist apart from it.
And it's a bit violent. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride. And in a fallen world, it's just messy, but it's fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's, as a father with plans and dreams and concerns about myself and others, it's funny how death takes it all away, isn't it? Like, we were at a camp recently, and someone died at that camp last night.
Yeah, literally last night. Unbelievable.
Heart attack. God bless him and God give rest to his soul. But
and his family.
Francis and his family. Francis de Sales has a meditation on death, and he talks about how, like, all of our plans, like, come to nothing. It's almost like I'm under the impression that if I keep worrying about my children, this will affect something. But if I die, I'm presumably ceasing to worry about them, and life goes on without me. Imagine that. Life goes on without me? I'm the center of it. How can it go on without me?
Right. Sobering.
But we worry about the church and the Pope and the president and whoever else, like we're affecting something through doing that.
Can't do a thing about it. Generally speaking, most of us can do nothing about it.
And yet it feels defeatist or quietist to cease engaging with it in a worried, anxious sort of way.
I think we have to engage, but we have to remain disengaged from the frenetic fear and worry and anxiety. Engage it and then give it. Like, there's Carmelite monasteries cloistered all over the place whose bulletin boards have intentions. The cloistered sisters, the nuns, they're absorbing all this crap and they're putting it right on the altar. They're praying. So they're aware. Yeah. They're not running away from reality. They're actually facing it more intently, but they're not getting all the effects of the anxiety. They immediately entrust it to God.
Chase and Eric gave me good advice when I started speaking on the topic of pornography at high schools and colleges. I would encounter a lot of brokenness from folks, and I'd ask Jason, who kind of had really paved the way and went before me, and what do you do? And he said he takes it all in, and then he goes and he lays down before the tabernacle and gives it over the Lord. So I started doing that on his advice. Awesome. It's like that, isn't it? Just,
awesome.
I can't take this. I can't do anything about it at this point. I mean, maybe I can. There's certain things I can do about things. Right, if someone's being abused, I can report it. I can do certain things like that. But I can't psychologically take it on. It will destroy me. Even just like now, if you were to be presented with all the amounts of evil that are taking place just throughout the lifespan of this podcast, If you knew of it all, if you could see it all,
Oh my
like
gosh.
you would die.
You'd be crushed, yeah. That, obviously Christ is what does JP2 say? Jesus Christ is the center of the universe and of human history. He's the center. So our lives, obviously, I had a professor in college once who said, if you're going to walk this walk, whatever happened to Jesus is going to happen to you. He took it all on, right? Lately, my wife and I, just with our own home struggles, and I've shared some of the stuff with you, Matt, off of this interview, but it's like Gethsemane. He enters into Gethsemane fully aware in his omniscience, like he knows everything, every sparrow that falls, but every sin. And it's just, I'm just gonna just take this on, and then just, and Gethsemane, the meaning of Gethsemane.
No, what does that mean?
Olive press. So he's being crushed like the olives pressed, and that virgin olive oil comes out, right? That's the first drip. So there's a great line from the Talmud that says, "For we are like olives, only when we are crushed do we yield what is best in us." So we try to resist, like by our anxiety or fear or over control. He let himself be. Whatever happened to Jesus is going to happen to you. Crap's going to hit you. Surrender, be crushed. Crown of thorns, mocked, spit at. I've shared a story earlier about some family stuff. And, I can put my dukes up and fight back, but I think I'm called into being crushed, being pressed, not in a defeatist or a weak way, but in a manly way, like just
absorbing.
I will sponge this up like Christ. And what's my prayer? The wringing out. Oh, like just the wringing out and the pouring out of self-gift, and then let the Father keep loving on me. I cannot imagine my life without. I get up early. I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and fire up the candle and just now I'm going to drink your love in. I'm your beloved son. That's it. Let me just drink this in quiet before I do devotions or read the gospel. Let me just sit here, get filled up. Somehow, some way, I'm going to be pressed today, crushed, whatever's going to happen, but.
How long have you been doing that for? Getting up at 5:30?
Oh my gosh, about 12, 13 years.
Do you set your alarm, or do you just wake up at this point?
I generally wake up.
Yeah.
Well,
but do you also set an alarm?
I do.
Wow.
It's
and
funny.
that's amazing that you've stuck to that, given the difficulties of family life.
I used to get up at 4:30.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
So
I
you
remember.
slacked off a bit then.
I did. I slacked
the
off.
point.
Lazy bones. Lazy bones. But well, that's the other part, right? You gotta do it. It's not an option. But for me, prayer has become the rest in the Father's arms. Not so much doing stuff. I have my rituals, but I got to drink in your love because I'm going to pour myself out today. But I can't be, this is sort of this kind of martyrdom of always giving. So for me, back to wonder, drinking in the beauty of creation, drinking in good music, smoking the pipe for me is religious. I mean, it's prayerful. A good book, Lord of the Rings. I mean, it feeds my soul. I never stop reading it. So I'm getting filled up so I can pour out. I think a lot of us, we just think we have to be the dutiful Christian, the good Catholic dad who's always available and always doing something, going to a Bible study and doing this and do that. Actually, it's okay to waste time. Because it's not a waste. And no more a waste than the woman who broke the alabaster jar, right? I love that scene.
That's a great
Because what's the reaction from the Jesus' own followers? What a waste. We could have done this good deed with that. And he's like, nope. She's going to remember for that. Wasting. And think of how fragrant, gratuitous, beautiful the scent of the room was. It just elevated. It's awesome, but but I gotta get busy. I gotta do something.
So how long, once you wake up at 5:30, how long do you sit, pray?
Yeah, it's generally about an hour. So, realistically speaking, I'd love to make a Eucharistic holy hour every day, but as a married man with 4 kids, I can't really
There's
realistically
something
do that.
also violent and turbulent about having to leave your home
Yeah.
and get into a vehicle, and
Yeah.
there's something not optimal about that.
Right.
As good as Eucharistic adoration is, I think that's
Right. It's different, I think. And is it Francis de Sales who would speak into that? Live your vocation, which is different than another vocation. I mean, I love to make a visit to the Blessed Sacrament. And sometimes I'll take the kids. We'll jump on bikes and Well, we've got a church 5-minute bike ride away. Make a little visit. Maybe it's 3-4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And we sing the Salve, which is so beautiful in an empty, dark church. It's awesome. And that might be that's it for the day, in the sense of a formal prayer outside of grace, but spots of time, don't force it, but just acknowledge, like, I need this. I need to just sit here quietly for a few minutes.
Practical question: do you do well on lack of or little sleep? Because there are times where I wake up tired, and I know because of how I feel that a coffee can fix it. But then there are times I wake up and I know that no amount of coffee is going to fix this day unless I have a nap.
Yeah.
But if you're getting up at 5:30 every morning with young kids, how does that work for you?
Yeah. I don't really know. I think there's something going on here, supernatural, because I've been doing it for a long time, and coffee is essential. It's like a sacramental for me. It's like the 8th sacrament. I have 2 or 3 cups before 10 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
But
Amateur.
I think I've just been broken by the kids. I mean, I may have shared this before, but one of our kids, it's been 6 years. She cannot sleep through the night. 90% of the time up. Night terrors, fear.
Bless
I don't know where, trauma from the womb experience or the story, whatever it might be. All the kids have their own stories. But so I've been waking up in the past 10 years, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I wake up 3 in the morning almost every single morning. And sometimes it's not the kids, I just wake up. And our mercy, right? This is the inverse, 3 a.m. So I'm instantly doing a little St. Michael prayer, and then I might fall back out. But I've been broken by the kids. I wake up multiple times, so I don't know. I just get up, keep going. But
you think as we get older, we need less sleep and less food?
Yeah, I haven't hit that mark yet. But
haven't you? Well, I don't know. I think we do. Like Peter this morning had his 3rd or 4th bowl of cereal. I'm like, keep going. You need more. Like, I want him to be a big strapping lad,
Yeah.
But for us, if we fasted till 3 or 5 every day, we'd probably be way better off.
True, that is true.
Because we don't need as much food. Our bodies aren't growing.
Right, that's
Our
true.
bodies are decaying.
Sort of stabilized. Yeah, thanks for that happy thought.
You're welcome.
Now who's depressing?
Well, I was the whole time. It wasn't you. But then the sleep too, maybe. It's similar. These old folks, they get up at 5:30, get up at 4, get up at 3.
4 hours sleep. I know, it's amazing. Amazing.
Isn't that weird? Why would you need less sleep? I could see why you would need less food as you get older, but I guess maybe again because your body's not growing. Teenagers sleep a lot typically.
They do.
Or can sleep a lot if you allow them. So there's something about their growing bodies. But
I think I've survived on 6 or less hours of sleep for a long time. And I don't know how unique that is, but you just survive somehow. But I find moments in the day, again, back to wonder, I find moments in the day where I have a creative sort of rest period, whatever it might be. And maybe it's the drive where I'll just listen to some good music, or I'm just zoning out. I don't fill my time with, some people are amazing with I'm following all these podcasts, I'm listening to all these different things, and I can't do that a lot. I just need to hear the wind, or just space for thoughts to go. Yeah, but not a lot of sleep.
That is the interesting thing about continually listening to podcasts like this one. It's because when you're silent, your head does stuff. There is an internal dialogue that's going on. And that's there for a reason, you've got to think. In the same way that dreams are there for a reason.
You're processing all the
So if I'm continually pumping somebody else's thoughts into my brain when my brain could be trying to process things, is that good? Maybe it's great. But maybe it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, we are processing in the sense that computers process. The brain is kind of a computer in a certain sense. It processes. And that's work. And our dreams are working it out. But I think I shared this word with you the other day, Matt. Lacuna, the lacuna, this space between things, the pregnant pause. And lacuna is essential. Otherwise, we're always tightly strung, and sooner or later you're going to snap. So, deep breath. That's another thing too, the breathing. These are simple things, right? How often do you go and then you're like, I haven't had a deep breath in 6 hours? I mean, there's a reason yoga and all that stuff is taking off, because people aren't breathing normally. We're just little gasps. And when you finally stretch and breathe, you're like, hello, world. How you been? It's good to see you again, right?
Yeah.
But this machine-based culture, man, keep going, keep running. The phones never sleep. Ugh.
Does your wife feel the same way about technology as you do?
It's funny. I think I probably made her get an iPhone years and years ago when they came out, and I regret it deeply. She was definitely, well, I mean, now for different reasons we have it, but she has always been very person oriented. When I met my wife, she was a missionary. She was a Franciscan volunteer missionary at a soup kitchen.
She was telling me the story.
Oh, it's a really funny story. So she is a person who's always with other people, and she loves people. She loved the poor, the homeless, the prostitutes, the drug addicts. She worked in Kensington outside of Philly. And that's when I first met her. I was doing mission education work for the Pontifical Mission Societies, which is this Vatican arm of mission. So I was going to like El Salvador, Haiti, Dominican Republic. I'd spend time with missionaries, come back to Philadelphia and teach school kids about mission. So I'm like the mission man. I'm going in and building the bridge. And it hit me, you don't have to go to Haiti. You can like walk out your door and find mission, the mission of love of neighbor. So I looked up a local soup kitchen, and it was St. Francis Inn outside of Philly. And so Rebecca was the first person I met throwing garbage into a dumpster in her little overalls. And I remember that moment. This was like 1999. I'm trying to find the director of the program. I wanted to serve a meal, and chain link fence, there's a dumpster, and I see this lovely Irish lass throwing garbage, and her eyes just like blue, like the sea after a storm. And I just got drawn in. And but meeting Rebecca, it was so cool because she was a very unplugged person. I mean, this is back 20 some years ago. But for her, it was always this person, and she would gravitate towards the marginalized, the person no one's looking at or listening to. Even when we would go to a party or on a date, she would just go to that person. I remember one of our first dates, actually, she had one nice dress because she was a missionary, right? So she had one nice black dress. So we started dating, and we go into Old City in Philly, 2nd Street, and we're walking down, and we're kind of looking fancy, and we're going to go to a meal. I'm all excited. She's just stunning, captivating, Rebecca. And I see a homeless person up on the side off to the left. And my here I am. I'm already like, I work for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. I'm in mission. I'm teaching, whatever. And I see this homeless person. I always do this like, I'm sorry. You do the thing where I'm not going to give you money. You might, waste it on alcohol or drugs. And you say, well, God bless you. God bless you. And I keep walking. And I go to turn to Rebecca, and she's like 12 feet behind me on the sidewalk next to this homeless guy in her dress. Like, do you have a place to stay? What's your name? Are you hungry? So our first date was me, Rebecca, and George at a Subway. And the guy smelled. He had like 3 winter coats on, big bag of stuff. And I'm just like, man, this girl is unique and unrepeatable. And she is getting me out of my head. Like, oh, I know, love your neighbor. I know the theology of the church. And oh, God bless you. I prayed for that homeless man. She's like, bam, right in his face. I'm tearing up thinking about it because she did it all the time. So, yeah, long answer to your short question. She's plugged into people, and she really taught me to get my theology into my biology, right? Like, and any time after, if we're going out somewhere in the city and I see a homeless person, I'm like, we're going to be late for the movie. We're missing the previews. But it's awesome.
Yeah.
We end up getting them a sandwich and learning their name. And she humanizes me more, like takes me out of my head sometimes. And just like, it's gotta get out through your hands. Touch it. It's awesome.
There's a lot of homeless people in Steubenville. I'm trying to get to know their names one by one.
Yeah. Oh man.
But it's easy to do one nice thing for one homeless dude and they'll be like, all right, I'm done now. Okay, Gary, like, I know that you say that you want money for the laundromat. Okay. You said that same thing to me last time, right? And I bought you a sandwich. Like, do I have to keep doing this? It reminds me of Liar Liar, where Jim Carrey says, I just want to go from my car to my office without being reminded of the demise of Western civilization or something to that effect.
There's a guy, Lee Jeffries. He's I think he's British photographer. And he tells a story once of this literally rocked his world. He was in London, and he was just walking down the street, again, photographer, photojournalist or something. And he sees a homeless girl, maybe 14, on the side of the street. And he's just, he's walking, doing his thing. And the lighting, like the way the light was coming in and striking this homeless girl was like, it just looked so, as an artist, he's like, wow, gets his camera out. And he's like, holy crap, there's a homeless girl on the street over there. What the heck am I? So he puts the camera down and goes over and learns her name. And he, again, humanized a situation. And this has wrecked him. He's done this whole project now called Lost Angels, traveling the world, encountering the homeless, like spending time with them, the smells, all of it, their stories. And then he asks permission, can I photograph you and share your story?
Wow.
Basically. And his images are haunting. Neil, if you want to look it up, oh my gosh. Lee Jeffries, Lost Angels. And it's messy, it's dirty, it's stinky, but he says, I always try to find the light of God in their eyes. The images are going to rock your world. I spent a whole Lent a few years ago. For Lent, it was just, the meditation was the face, the human face. And I just would look at the photographs he took and just, this is a real person.
Nice thing about looking at photographs is they don't smell or ask you for money or swear at you or, or lie to you. Or
yeah, you could certainly over romanticize that.
I'm not criticizing it. I know that I would rather look through a book of homeless people than actually encounter loud ones on 4th Street.
It's a start, though. Yeah. It's a start.
Yeah.
Whatever helps. Whatever starts to bridge the gap. I mean, again, Rebecca, my wife, got me to think differently, act differently, and yeah, it's funny because it's messy.
My wife used to do that all the time before we were married. She'd just meet with homeless people, buy them food.
Yeah.
I don't allow her to do that though anymore.
I mean, honestly, sometimes it could be dangerous. There are people who are unstable, mental disorders, can be violent. So obviously, be prudent and be thoughtful, but don't be cold. We can do something.
We can justify prudence when we're really being selfish. Yeah.
Right.
And that's probably more often the case than not.
Yeah. But I think at some level you have to acknowledge this person.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be an awkward exchange, but at least, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you money. Can I buy you a sandwich? No. I just want money. Okay.
I hope you have a good day.
Move on.
Yeah, I was coming out of Yurgo's. We got to go there. It's great. Do you like, what are they called?
Heroes?
What are they called?
Euros?
Euros. You like Euros?
Euros. Don't even know.
Oh, buckle up. We're going to have one after this. But I was walking out of Yurgo's and there's a fella there trying to sell me his sunglasses. Like scratched up, old, beaten up. I'm like, nah. But
he's wearing them.
But I appreciate you trying to make an effort. But
nice. I
think I bought it. I said, do you want me to buy, I can buy you some food. No.
Yeah. Offer. Yeah, I've met some amazing people at the inn where Rebecca served for 2 years as a missionary. And again, you like open the door, you look in the eyes and you get like a crazy story sometimes, but a beautiful one. There was a guy, his actual name was Lee, different guy. He was this amazing poet. And again, you look at him and you're like, oh man, this is awkward. Oh man, he's really stinky. He would find napkins, pieces of cardboard, and he would just like write poems on it. We talked about Hopkins before.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Hopkins. Do you know Francis Thompson, the English poet?
I know of him.
Hound of Heaven.
Yes, of course.
That guy's story is insane. Francis Thompson, Bishop Fulton Sheen loved the Hound of Heaven poem. That's where I first encountered it back in the 80s. Francis Thompson fell into an addiction to opium and pretty much lost everything. He was homeless. He's on the street. A prostitute picks him out of the gutter, brings her back to his apartment, gets him back into health. An elderly couple somehow crosses paths. They start to realize his genius and they build him back up again. That's where the Hound of Heaven came from.
Crikey.
When you read the Hound of Heaven, this guy, when he talks about like the bowels of, he was homeless, a drug addict, and then rescued by a prostitute. It's all messy. But how many people pass this guy by? Oh, this is going to be one of England's greatest poets. The Hound of Heaven. There he is. That stinky, crumpled up mess over there who's a drug addict.
You know of Michael Talbot? Venerable? Is it Venerable? Yeah, or Servant of God? Michael
the
Talbot?
Musician?
Matthew Talbot? Matthew Talbot.
Oh, yes, Matthew Talbot, I think it is. Yeah. I don't know the whole story.
Well, he was an alcoholic. Once stole a fiddle from a blind man.
That's low.
To sell it. Yeah. What are you doing? To buy beer with. And had a huge conversion.
Wow.
And daily communicant, prayed the Rosary daily, would wear thick chains under his clothes that no one really knew about, I guess, till he died.
Wow.
There's a beautiful statue in the Pro Cathedral in Dublin of the Blessed Mother. He's got shackles around his wrists, and I forget exactly how it looks, but she's either broken the chains or she's holding them.
Wow.
It's quite beautiful.
So he's an Irishman.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Dublin.
Looks like a venerable
Matt Talbot. There's a really cool movement of people in Ireland who give up the drink in reparation for those who don't.
Wow.
I had a guy on the show called Matty Hart. Fabulous fella.
I caught some of that.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah.
That's worth watching.
Awesome.
But he, he's like, no problem with drink at all. Like, please drink. Like, it's not like a puritanical thing. It's just
choice.
Yeah. So we'll go to his house. I'll drink whiskey. He'll drink water out of a whiskey glass. But in fact, someone watched that show. One of my supporters, Andrew Montpetit, and he made the pledge as well that day.
Wow.
And I saw him a couple of months ago. It's been, I don't know, several months. He hasn't drunk. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it for life. Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. The Pioneers. I think that's called the Pioneers. They have a badge of the Sacred Heart of Jesus on them. And
wow.
Because I do remember, like, prior to going to Ireland, that kind of romantic pub culture was shattered when I moved there. Because I saw how shattered families were because of the pub culture. Every single family in that town had been devastated by someone who was an alcoholic. And it was quickly unappealing to me, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's tragic. I met I did a retreat for the Calyx Society. Did you ever hear the Calyx Society? It's Latin for chalice, right? Calyx.
Okay.
And their whole motto. So these are Catholics who were, they wanted something more than Alcoholics Anonymous, a sacramental version of it. So their whole tagline is trading one cup for another. And it was one of the most powerful. I'm coming to give them a retreat, and I'm getting the retreat. You just step into people who have been destroyed, like utterly broken to the bottom, and then like built back up again. And I mean, 10 minutes in, it felt like I've been here for like 2 weeks. You guys, like, this is amazing because they're so easily vulnerable. Like I've tasted it. I've been on the edge, and God saved me.
And your edge no longer scares me, right?
Right.
Yes. That's what I find when I meet people.
Well, again, that word humanized. It all gets humanized, and I'm not scared. I'm not put off. I'm not shocked. I'm like, that's all right. A guy shared a story this week at the camp with me that, choices we make sometimes are absolutely horrendous. And you're like, how do you build back from that? Like, how do you restore trust? I can't even fathom. But again, that's the grace of God. It's amazing. And I think the more we, like I quoted quickly earlier, St. Columban, a life unlike your own can be your greatest teacher. If we're always nosing at a smartphone, you're going to miss every life. And that's what I love about getting unplugged. It's just like getting into somebody's life.
And though the internet has the appearance of a gigantic world, you end up looking at the same 3 websites every day. And listening to the same 3 people every day. So this is not a world unlike your own. It's an echo chamber, like we say.
Yeah, and so homogenized, and the face filtered, cropped. Everything's like just whitewashed and clean. And
to your point earlier about that philosopher fella, Korean dude,
Byung-Chun Han. Did I get it right?
To that idea of it's the opposite of the Rosary, whereas instead of internalizing, I'm externalizing.
That's it. Yeah.
I think that about, if pornography didn't exist, wouldn't that be good? I still wouldn't want my children to have a smartphone.
Oh yeah.
Because I want my daughter to write in a journal or to write little letters.
Yes.
As opposed to wondering what filter makes her skin look better. Isn't that kind of a similar thing as opposed to like an internal meditative reflection?
Oh yeah.
However poor it might be, compared to like putting it out.
When we're driving with the kids, and sometimes we got a 6.5 hour drive coming up tomorrow, and it's easy to sort of get the digital babysitter out and just like, here, let's just nullify all of your angst, and here, just stare at this thing. But when we're driving, Rebecca and I find ourselves constantly like, look at those cows over there. Oh, look at that hill. It doesn't look like the Shire over here. Or, whoa, look at that cool motorcycle, Kagan. Constantly like, look up. There's a great line in Luke's gospel, look up, your redemption is near at hand. I feel like our smartphone culture needs to hear that. Look up, your redemption is near at hand. It's very, very near at hand.
This has been great. Thanks for chatting with me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Finally, where can people learn more about these wonderful conferences.
Sure.
Because I've been to one. It was remarkable. My wife went last year to a Theology of the Body conference. I think it was part 1, or what do you call it?
Yeah, a TOB1 is an intro.
Head and Heart Immersion Course,
Yes,
TOB1.
yeah.
And she went with an evangelical Protestant friend of hers. They just
Good experience.
loved it. Oh, my
Sweet.
gosh.
Yeah, so we're in our, what are we in here? Our 16th year? 16 years. We are in Amish country, so we are in a place that's naturally unplugged. It's a retreat center, and our institute offers courses year-round on a variety of different themes, but always immersed in John Paul II's Theology of the Body, which it's everything we kind of just talked about. It's a sacramental way of looking at reality. It's recognizing God comes to us in and through the body, and speaks to us through all of it. So we have head and heart immersive retreat. So your intellect, we're looking at philosophy, theology, but it's in a retreat sort of encounter of the heart. We have prayer, daily mass, adoration, the fellowship with people from around the country, around the world.
Yeah, you got people coming from Australia, and where do you have you said coming up this week or next week?
Yeah, coming up. Yeah, next week I have a course we're teaching. We've got people from all over. We've had over 160 countries represented coming out, which is crazy. So tobinstitute.org is the website, and you can see the schedule. But I have to just say, personally, as an educator and a teacher there, I look forward to these week-long courses like crazy. It's almost like Christmas week every time we do it, because I know I'm going to get drawn into the beauty, into the mystery. I'm going to make some friends. The fellowship's amazing. And for all of us, it's like a return to reality. You know, it's kind of this return to the Shire, to, you know, this is what being human looks like. People are having meals together and sharing stories wherever they're from. And in 5 minutes, you could be weeping because you're sharing your stuff in total freedom, because people are there for the right reasons. And intercessory prayer teams are surrounding it. People encounter their wounds.
Yeah, you said something to me very beautiful.
Oh,
you said
man.
that whenever you're teaching, there's someone in adoration praying for you and those you're teaching to.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, profound sign of an apostolate's health when that's a priority.
Yeah. Well, we realized that early on, probably 15 years ago, that we have to do that. So while we're teaching, Christopher West or myself or another faculty member, Christ is present in the Eucharist in the classroom. So we have we have that whole structure as we're teaching. There's a prayer team member in front of the Blessed Sacrament in another chapel. So you can't escape. You're destroyed. You know, even if you're not listening to anything we're saying, you're getting 30 hours of adoration. So there's no escaping it. And God does amazing stuff in 5 days to us as a team and to the people that come. And I just feel like it's such the antidote to our culture right now that is so splintered, fragmented. We don't know who the heck we are or what we're doing or why we're here. But St. John Paul II's vision is a homecoming. It's a homecoming to yourself, to your body, to the world, to other people. So
I've just put out a quarterly newsletter with Pints for the Aquinas. It's an ink on paper.
Yes, I heard you talk about that. In your hand, yeah.
And the reason I'm pulling up my phone now is so I can read the poem that we're going to share on this first one.
Great.
Because you are going to love it. It's not grandiose. It's not... Here it is. It's called No Place to Go. The happiest nights I ever know are those when I have no place to go. And the missus says when the day is through, tonight we haven't a thing to do. Oh, the joy of it and the peace untold of sitting round in my slippers old, with my pipe and book in my easy chair, knowing I needn't go anywhere, needn't hurry my evening meal, nor force the smiles that I do not feel, but can grab a book from a nearby shelf and drop all sham and be myself. Oh, the charm of it and the comfort rare, nothing on earth with it can compare. And I'm sorry for him who doesn't know the joy of having no place to go. Is that your new favorite poem?
Can I have the poem immediately? That is awesome. That's it.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is it.
What's your favorite poem? Have you got any memorized?
Oh my gosh. There's a few Shakespearean sonnets, scraps of Wordsworth, stuff like that. And it's kind of cut from the same cloth. Yeah. I love poetry. I love it. Jessica Powers is a favorite poet of mine. She's a cloistered Carmelite.
Wow.
Of course, Hopkins, Rilke, Wordsworth. Oh, that was good. Who wrote that? Is that a living poet? Is it somebody?
No, I don't believe so.
That's it.
Edgar Albert Guest.
I'll take it.
Yeah, isn't that
I want
beautiful?
to live it.
Oh, we're going to do one more prayer before we wrap up, because you shared this with me the other day.
Sure.
And it was written by Pope John the 23rd? Or
St. John the 23rd.
St. John the 23rd.
I believe.
This prayer will change your life. And I got a feeling that after I read it, everybody's going to download it, print it out, and put it everywhere. So
print it out. Don't look at it on your phone. Print it out.
As I read it from my phone. Here it is.
Okay.
Let's see. Only for today I will seek to live. Only for today I will seek to live the livelong day positively, without wishing to solve the problems of my life all at once. Only for today I will take the greatest care of my appearance. I will dress modestly. I will not raise my voice. I will be courteous in my behavior. I will not criticize anyone. I will not claim to improve or to discipline anyone save me. Let's see here. Only for today I will be happy in the certainty that I was created to be happy, not only in the other world but also in this one. Only for today I will adapt to circumstances without requiring all circumstances to be adapted to my own wishes. Only for today I will devote 10 minutes of my time to some good reading, remembering that just as food is necessary to the life of the body, so good reading is necessary to the life of the soul. Only for today I will do one good deed and not tell anyone about it. Only for today I will do at least one thing I do not like doing, and if my feelings are hurt, I will be sure that no one notices. Only for today I will make a plan for myself. I will not follow it to the letter, but I will make it. And I will be on guard against two evils, hastiness and indecision. Only for today I will firmly believe, despite appearances, that the good providence of God cares for me as no one else who exists in this world. Only for today I will have no fears. In particular, I will not be afraid to enjoy what is beautiful and to believe in goodness. Indeed, for 12 hours I can certainly do what might cause me consternation were I to believe I had to do it all my life.
I love it. I love the last bit there. I will not be afraid to enjoy what is beautiful.
What does that mean?
Waste time. Don't be in a hurry. Oh, this isn't productive. Well, what is this going to do for me or other people? I'm just going to enjoy what is beautiful.
I love that final line. Indeed, for 12 hours I can certainly do what might cause me consternation were I to believe I had to do this all my life. It's so true. I mean, anyone trying to break free from a habit or an addiction would say the same thing.
Right.
It's like the Alcoholics Anonymous, like just today, just this hour.
Only for today, yep.
Yeah. Man, thanks for introducing me to that poem, St. John the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I love you.
Gift.
I'm glad you exist.
Right back at you. Save it.
Cheers.
Thanks, Matt.